What's up, chat? What is up, everybody? The beautiful, official FightHype live music blaring through the high-tech offices here in Las Vegas, Nevada, as we kick off another Z-Cap. And, alright, that's enough for the music, but as we kick off another Z-Cap, had some fights going on over the weekend. Carlos Adames beating Julian J. Rock Williams, the former super welterweight champ, the former unified lineal champ. Had Edgar Berlanga have a fun scrap with Jason Quigley. Important title fight in Japan with Joshua Franco retiring after losing to the smaller guy, the older guy at 34 years old, Kazuto Ioka. With that win, you know, becoming a borderline Hall of Famer at this point is Ioka. But we got to bring the people in with some of the headliners, some of the big names. So let's talk a little Errol Spence Canelo. As once it was found out that Canelo signing a 3-fight deal with PBC, some speculation began about him and Errol Spence. And then, you know, got to take a look at Andy Ruiz and Deontay Wilder, the big guys. Probably going to be, very well may be the biggest heavyweight fight in the calendar year of 2023 fought here on American shores. Wilder and Ruiz, sounds like that's close to happening. And then, you know, Benavidez and Berlanga are both technically closing in on Jaime Munguia, who's, you know, moved up to 168 pounds, and now he'll be looking to face either one of those guys. So we'll size up what makes more sense for Munguia. He may very well be an underdog against both. Clearly less of an underdog, if he is an underdog at all, against Edgar Berlanga, and then he'd be a huge underdog against David Benavidez. And before we get started, guys, you know, I think it's about time I get a little more consistent with this. I tend to kind of do these almost spur of the moment, sometimes only when a big fight or big news has happened, and we don't really lock in a concrete, consistent schedule with these lives that I do here on FightHype. So I think starting this Monday, regardless if there's big news or not, or big fights that happened or not, this is going to be the spot. This is going to be the spot for objective analysis on the sport of boxing, and then sometimes on the outside of the ring stuff, things that happen outside of the ring and the business of boxing, which, you know, isn't always as strong as my forte is in analyzing the sport, the stuff that happens in the ring. So even when we circle to the business side of boxing, we're always going to tie it back to how it relates to the inside of the ring stuff, which is, to me, you know, always the most important stuff. And, you know, with Skip and Shannon disbanding last week when the NBA Finals, it was almost 2 weeks ago now, actually 2 weeks ago, when the NBA Finals ended, and I was kind of inspired by Skip and Shannon, not always agreeing with what they said, but their commitment and professionalism to arriving early in the morning, every day, ready to talk about the sports world and deliver to their audience, you know, analysis, insight into the sports that they cover. And it's about that time that I get that popping for boxing. So, yeah, we've done a bunch of these Z-Caps already. A lot of you guys have joined us, but you know, keep going forward. We're going to be a little bit more consistent on covering the sport every Monday. Sundays, when big news happens throughout the week, we'll do live, spur of the moment, but get used to it. I'll be doing this every week. So a couple of quick people in the chat. You know, we're just getting started. Still not quite 100 people here yet, but Chicken Pie 1113 says Spence will get knocked out by Canelo. That's coming from a Spence fan. We got to be realistic. And Chicken Pie also saying Canelo can take Spence's jab away. Yeah, because I hear a lot of people talking about the jab of Spence, how that could give Canelo problems, because the jab always gives Canelo problems for the most part. He neutralized it pretty good against Saunders and Plant, who have good jabs. But, you know, Spence is a southpaw and doesn't have the reach of a Dimitri Bivol, or the size of Dimitri Bivol, or the feet of Dimitri Bivol. So, you know, I'm not thinking about that. Bori saying, yo, Ruiz is no pushover for Wilder. So let's take a look. Let's get the show started. Shout out to my man Hans Themistode, who I just saw in New York City about a week ago when both of us were covering Spence Crawford in New York City, the initial press conference. My man Hans was on hand for the site at Berlanga's fight over the last Saturday against Quigley. And while he was there, he got a chance to catch up with Chris Algieri, who fought Errol Spence. And he actually surprised some people by saying he thinks Errol Spence could give Canelo problems. I don't know if I'm necessarily going to agree with this take, but I've only seen parts of it on Twitter. So let's watch my man Hans Themisto's full interview real quick with Algieri and see what Chris had to say about Canelo and Spence. And I'll fast forward if I need to.
Your thoughts on the whole Canelo with that 3-fight deal with PBC? Would love to get your thoughts on it, man.
The fight that I want. I was hoping that was going to be the September fight. It can.
I wanted to fight that you want to see.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I wanted to give it, because like you said earlier, you were the guy that was just like, Spence will give Canelo problems. You've been saying that for years. Why do you think Spence will give Canelo more problems than a guy like Charlo or maybe Andrade?
Pace. Pace. Canelo needs to rest. He's very explosive. He takes his time. He's a sprinter. He explodes, he sprints. He's very good at keeping guys off him because he's so explosive. He has the speed advantage over all these bigger guys. That's why he likes fighting the bigger guys. He's got the speed, he's explosive, he keeps him on edge. He's able to rest and build his power and to go back out and forward.
Great points and scouting report, of course, by the former WBO champion of the world at welterweight, my man Chris Algieri. Was it at 140 where he beat Provodnikov, chat? I think it might have actually been... No, it had to be welterweight. It was welterweight. He was the WBO welterweight champ, lost that belt to Pacquiao, I believe. But one thing Chris is talking about, right there, he says that Canelo likes that advantage, being the smaller guy, having the hand speed, being more explosive. Errol Spence isn't a particularly fast guy at welterweight. I think you put guys like Terrence Crawford and Jaron Ennis ahead of him when it comes to hand speed. Keith Thurman a couple years ago was faster than Spence. I don't know about now, but I don't know. I don't know if Spence really has a hand speed advantage against Canelo, especially having to put on 21 pounds of muscle. That would maybe affect his speed, maybe not. Guys know how to put that muscle on and retain their speed and explosiveness in today's game. But I don't think that just because Spence would be a smaller guy moving up that he'd necessarily have a speed advantage like Chris is saying Canelo does against bigger guys. I don't think Spence is a very speedy welterweight. He's not slow. He's definitely not slow. He's got that subtle athleticism to him. But I don't know if Spence, just because he'd be moving up, would have any speed advantage over Canelo. I don't think that's what Chris is saying. I think that he's saying Canelo's speed advantage would be nullified by a fellow smaller fighter moving up in weight. But
bombs. Spence doesn't let you do that. Similar to how Bivol gave Canelo so much trouble, he never let him rest. He was always in range. He had that in and out style. He made him miss. He couldn't hurt him.
In and out style, always in range. But here we can take a look at this here as we do it. Let's take a look at the difference in the dimensions of Dimitri Bivol and Errol Spence in terms of their reach and all that, size. I think Errol Spence has a 72-inch reach. And let me see here. Errol Spence, 72-inch reach, 5'9.5". Dimitri Bivol, on the other hand, 72-inch reach. Man, Spence got some long arms. Yeah, 6 foot tall and a strong 175-pounder. That's almost 30 pounds heavier than Errol Spence. And Dimitri Bivol got a thick linebacker's neck. He's not a little guy making 175, but I mean, to keep it fair, Errol does have the same exact reach that Dimitri Bivol has. So it's a southpaw. It's not an orthodox jab. So sometimes it's harder for the orthodox fighter to get his jab off against the southpaw and vice versa because the lead hands are meeting in the front. But Spence, that's never stopped Spence from jabbing people's heads off. So, all right.
So there's a lot of things I could see Spence doing that would give Canelo problems. I'm not saying that Spence would beat Canelo per se, but I see why they would fight. Why Spence's people would want that fight.
I think Spence and his people want that fight because they're money people. They know they're very business smart people at PBC. Al Heyman, Errol Spence, and I think they're looking at it like he's what I think technically Errol might actually be taller than Canelo Alvarez. Because I think they're going to list Canelo at 5'9". Let's take a look here. Can we please get this man's boxing record? Thank you. 70.5-inch reach at 5'8". Errol Spence, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch reach. So, as crazy as it sounds, and I favor Canelo to beat Spence if they were to fight, but I don't think Spence has the footwork of Dimitri Bivol, the in and out. He's not as physically big as Bivol. I don't think he would take the punches as well as Bivol, because weight classes do matter, but sometimes guys like Manny Pacquiao, maybe Errol Spence could pull a Pacquiao De La Hoya. We all know De La Hoya was shot by the time that Pacquiao got to him, but that didn't stop people like me at the time back in '08. I bet money on Oscar De La Hoya because I thought this is insane. There's no way Pacquiao, who's been buckled by featherweights like Morales and Marquez, is going to move up to welterweight and beat Oscar. That left hook's he's going to run into that left hook at some point. It's going to be curtains. How wrong I was and how wrong everyone was. De La Hoya was a 4-1 favorite, and he beat the shit out of the great Oscar De La Hoya. Retired him on a stool for good. And so Spence is probably thinking the same thing. I'm just as big as him. We were both, I'm actually 1.5 inches taller than him. I have longer arms than him. And Errol isn't. There's nothing for Errol Spence north of 147 anyways. At 154, all that waits for him there is the guy that he shares a trainer with, the undisputed champion, Jermall Charlo. We know they're close. That's not happening in all likelihood. It's not like there's tens and tens of millions of dollars on the table for that fight to persuade them to put their friendship aside anyways. Not saying it wouldn't make some good money, but it's not a huge fight. And then at 160 is a wasteland. I know we saw our man Carlos Adames get busy at 160, the interim champ, but 160 is a wasteland. Nothing's happening at 160. And so you go up to 68, put on the 21 pounds of muscle. Canelo might be juicing for all we know. You could take some juice to meet him there. Just keeping it real. But we'll continue with Chris's analysis here.
I think I don't know if he's going to be necessarily more effective, but he's killing himself being 47. He's huge.
He is, and he's bigger than Crawford, for sure. Spence is bigger than Crawford. Let me say what's up to some people in the chat. AJ says, what's good, Sean? What's good, brother? Good to have you in the chat, AJ. MAW, we'll call him Ma, says, hello, fans, Sean in chat. Hello to you too, man. Raider Reaper, good to have Raider Reaper in the chat. Raider Reaper not feeling the Spence talk, says he has a 1% chance of beating Canelo. The Angry Casual fan, good to see you too, man. If both were on clenbuterol, Spence wins. Well, they might. Mixing Bowl Man says he can't stop dudes at 147. So what's he going to do with Canelo? I get it. Ken J. Theo Ball says, Brooklyn in the house. Yes, sir. From Bensonhurst to Brownsville, Brooklyn is in the house. And shout out to everywhere in between. Spence is a dangerous fight for Canelo, says Victor Garcia. And he says Spence is bigger than Canelo. I think that Canelo's got a naturally wider frame than Spence. But Canelo's a little guy. He's a lot smaller than some of these guys. Now, modern medicine has its wonders, it would seem. But he's a lot smaller than a lot of these guys. So, yeah, him and Spence could wind up being the same size. Everything sounds crazy until it happens. Pacquiao De La Hoya sounded crazy to me until it happened. Again, I think Canelo would win. But Jeff Ferrari Caesar, salute, brother. Good to see you. Coach Amber says, wow, I'm bigger and longer than him. Encourage Juice tried this channel. No wonder. Crawford beats Spence Jr. Mark my words, says Creature. I favor Crawford too, but that's a very 50-50-ish type fight. I favor Crawford because the counterpunching. And Dane Sampson. Always great to see my main Dan Sampson in the chat, one of our regulars. Shout out, Dane. Thank you for being here. All right, let's finish Chris's breakdown.
Spence actually in that fight?
I'd have to really analyze it and really think about how everything going on leading up to the fight. There's a lot of other things that the father's just looking up and be like, oh, this guy. Yeah, that's I'd have to think about that one a lot and really study.
What would the weight be though, man?
68.
65.
Yeah, no, you're right, Chris. Canelo's not big anyway, so maybe Canelo could make a 65 for Spence.
Spence probably still come in at 60.
So just my last question, who's the odd man out? If it's probably 5 guys in a row.
Nobody wants Morrell.
It's 5 guys because it's Benavidez, Morrell, Charlo, Spence.
And Morrell because Benavidez was in Morrell's situation 2 years ago. Really young, had more fights than Morrell, had won the WBC belt twice. Morrell's won a WBA regular belt. But basically, too young, too good, too unproven to give a big shot to an established champion. And that's kind of what Chris is saying about Morrell now.
And Andrade. So who out of those 5, who are the 3 that you can see Canelo fighting?
I can see the Charlo, Benavidez, Spence. I don't know if there's a fan necessity for Andre, and Canelo's already spoken out against him. And Morrell's just too dangerous. Nobody really knows him yet.
Gotcha. And actually, we'd love to know. We've heard rumors that Andrade could fight Caleb Plant.
Good fight.
I
like Plant in that fight, maybe.
I like the way you fight.
But I don't know about Plant coming off that beating from Benavidez. Andrade is the undefeated guy. He doesn't know how to lose yet. But Andrade hasn't impressed me at 68 early on.
It's a shame that we've lost a lot of his good years. But anytime he's going to fight, I'm happy about it.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. And I think we're going to get to catch up with Chris later this week. I was just talking back and forth with him on Instagram. So Chris, as well as being a former world champion, just a very articulate, smart man. And, you know, goes without saying he knows his boxing. So shout out to Hans for getting us that interview too, man. Happy to go back over that. Angry Casual fan said, Sean, did you notice that Crawford got out-jabbed by Mean Machine? I'm going to have to go back and watch tape and look for that specifically. I just remember Crawford getting hit by right hands early. He got hit by that right hand, went down a moment or two later. Could have been a knockdown. You know, it was close. And he did go down in the clinch right after, not off a shot, and it was a delayed thing, but I understand if it would have been called a knockdown. And then I just remember Crawford turning it up and turning southpaw, starting to step over to his right with the double jab, and just started pounding on Mean Machine, inviting and winning the exchanges, exchange after exchange after exchange. So I'd have to go back and watch how Mean Machine out-jabbed Crawford. Kell Brook was out-jabbing Crawford, that's for sure. Kell Brook was out-jabbing Crawford up until the point he got knocked out. But I have to go back and watch the Mean Machine part on that. Coach Amber says, I see why this channel gets heat. Break it down, Coach Amber. Why do we get heat? Let me know. And then Zachary Murray said, hey, Sean, God bless. Any word on Morrell Benavidez? Well, that takes me to this segment right here, where David said that nothing between him and Morrell is finalized yet, and they're actually thinking of going to the Munguia fight. Al Heyman trying to negotiate that fight a little bit behind scenes.
Side, and you already had a fight with Morrell lined up, and you know all the stuff you see.
Yeah, no, there's no fight with Morrell lined up.
So Zachary Murray, there is your update right there. There is no fight officially with Morrell right now.
I just seen that yesterday, that supposedly they said I agreed to the fight. I'm like, man, I bet this is my first time seeing about it. You know, we're not fighting Morrell. You know, everything that's been coming out that saying that, you know, we agreed to the fight. I haven't even seen anything. I didn't agree to anything. You know, I'm trying to make the big fights happen. Right now, we're trying to look. We want to make happen. We want to fight Jaime Munguia. Came up to 168. I think that would be a great fight. Two big names. But if we can't get him, you know, we'll probably do Morrell. But I'm just saying, man, there's a lot of fake news out there. You know, a lot of if it doesn't come from me, then it's not official.
So before you guys start with Benavidez' duck and Morrell talk, I'll share a quote from someone extremely, extremely, extremely close to Team Benavidez. Me talking with them, you know, I'm not going to give away who it is, but let's just say a source incredibly close to Benavidez, and that's that we're negotiating the Jaime Munguia fight, hoping to make that fight happen, and if we can't get that fight, then quote, we'll take care of Morrell's bitch ass. That's the quote from Team Benavidez. So, as you guys know, the risk-reward thing, look, Munguia's a much bigger, not a much bigger name, but he's a bigger name. He's able to sell out arenas like the Forum, or close. He's able to sell close to capacity in places in Southern California, like in Ontario when he just fought the Revianchenko. Close to sell out when he's fought in the Forum in Inglewood before. He's had some solid crowds in Mexico. Jaime Munguia, you know, former champ at 54, still undefeated with a lot of wins on the record. Very exciting style. So Benavidez and Munguia, because David Morrell, who's a much tougher fight than Jaime Munguia, is only 9 fights into his career, and because the Cuban fan base has yet to have a star connect in the market here in America. You know, Joel Casamayor, I loved him, and we've had some guys like Rancis Barthelemy and Arislandi Lara, Guillermo Rigondeaux, but these guys tend to come here at an older age, never get a chance to really fully learn the language, and so, you know, they're not able to cross over. Morrell's the first guy, young, in a larger weight class, not in the lower weight divisions, has already learned a lot of English, good personality, fun style, can punch. You know, I think he's got a real chance to be the first Cubano to really have that market success in America. And because he's so young in his career, I think Benavidez and Morrell is a fight you put in the oven a little bit right now. That being said, it's the second best fight at 168 pounds outside of Canelo versus Benavidez. Benavidez-Morrell is the best fight you could make out of Canelo and David Benavidez. But it's still a little undercooked right now. So they're looking at Jaime Munguia. And I also think, speculation of course, but I also think there's a bigger picture there in it for someone like Al Haymon and PBC, who got De La Hoya begrudgingly, kind of against his will, to bend and have to concede Ryan Garcia, a Golden Boy fighter, to PBC for Tank. They wound up making so much money, and now you see Oscar bragging about Eddie Hearn. Al Haymon doesn't want to work with him. Bob Arum doesn't want to work with him. Oh, so you go from hating Al Haymon, you know, trying everything you can to prevent Ryan from taking that fight, and I understand why Oscar did that, but to now you're bragging that Al will work with you but not Eddie. That sounds like progress made on that front. Some ice being thawed out there between Al Haymon and Golden Boy Promotions. So strike while the iron's hot. Try to bring another Golden Boy fighter to PBC, Munguia, and make that fight happen with Benavidez. Now you don't have to give up one of your assets, Benavidez or Morrell, against each other, and you get to keep building your own asset against somebody else's asset in Jaime Munguia. It's a fan-friendly fight. It's a very, very winnable fight for David Benavidez. So that's what they're trying to make first and foremost. And if that fight can't happen, then they'll go ahead and try to, quote, get Morrell's bitch ass. But, you know, that's their quote. But, so that's the update on Benavidez and Morrell and Jaime Munguia, and almost what's becoming the Jaime Munguia sweepstakes, because we know this man would like a fight with Jaime Munguia as well. And if I had to pick which is more likely to happen, I would think Munguia Berlanga is more likely to happen, because not only is it an easier to fight to make on the same network, but it's a much more winnable fight for Jaime Munguia. Jaime Munguia is not beating David Benavidez. That's basically for certain. But he may very well beat this guy, Edgar Berlanga, who got 4 knockdowns against Jason Quigley, but still couldn't get him out of there. A guy that got knocked out in 1 round at 160 against Boo Boo Andrade, who's not known as a puncher. And Berlanga dropped him 4 times, but couldn't get him out of there. So that was one fight over the weekend. And you know, Berlanga, I thought it was a solid bounce-back performance. I thought it was the best that Berlanga's looked since his knockout streak. You know, since he was knocking out no-hopers in the first round, ever since that streak stopped against, I think it was Cáceres from Argentina, where he got dropped back in 2021, ever since then, for Berlanga, he just hasn't looked impressive. He hasn't impressed anybody in a long time. I mean, he was passable against Damon Nicholson by dropping him so many times, but guys like Steve Rolls really made him look bad, arguably beat him. And I thought this was a solid bounce back for Berlanga. He still has a good offensive skill set. A few times when he had Jason Quigley against the ropes, instead of just searching for that big right hand over and over again, he used his lead hand, jab up top, hook to the body, and then set up the right hand over the top. That's how he got a knockdown, his first of 4 knockdowns. A little bit of that Miguel Cotto schooling, you know, pin guys on the ropes with that high guard and be great with that lead hand to set up power shots. And he did that in spots. But then in round 7, he got hurt against Quigley. Still has a bad combination, does Edgar Berlanga. A leaky defense and a not-so-great chin. That's always going to be a brutal combination for Berlanga going forward. But he does have offensive talent. He does punch hard in both hands. And he has offensive talent. So, you know, he's no slouch. He's no bum. But initially, when he was having his KO streak and before the Erickson Lubin clip from sparring came out and before guys started taking him the distance and making him look average at times, I thought Berlanga could really be something, and he still can be something, but clearly he's not some heir apparent to the throne, to the Boricua kingdom. You know, clearly he's not going to be able to live up to some Felix Trinidad, Miguel Cotto hype. You might as well move on to the kid Xander Zayas for those hopes. But this guy, you know, maybe we were too high on him at first, and then maybe we got too low on him thereafter, and maybe his potential is somewhere in the middle. And I thought it was a solid, not spectacular obviously, but solid bounce back performance against Quigley. Began to look comfortable in the ring again against a decent opponent, you know, a guy that did beat Shane Mosley Jr. a couple years ago. So, and then him and Munguia is a 50-50 type fight, man, because Berlanga is so much more the natural 168-pounder. So Berlanga's the bigger guy, but Munguia has proven through his career he's the better guy. It was a while ago. I mean, HBO was still in business. But let's not forget, Munguia was a world champion at 154 pounds when he knocked out Saddam Ali as a late replacement opponent. He's a better, you know, combination puncher than Munguia. He throws more punches than Munguia. He's more relaxed in the ring. But his defense is incredibly leaky too. And Derevianchenko had him out on his feet in the 5th round. And Derevianchenko, by having shorter, more compact punches than Munguia, who is bigger and taller and longer than him, but Derevianchenko with some of them short hooks in between those furious exchanges, he hurt Munguia. And if Berlanga could land the same kind of shots, he could probably put Munguia on his ass coming up from 54 and 60. So, but the problem for Berlanga is Munguia throws more punches than him. They're both offensively talented fighters, and I think Munguia gets more out of his talent than Berlanga does right now. And I think Munguia is more of a dog than Berlanga. I think he's got a little bit more dog in him. So that would be a problem. But it'd be a good fight. A good Mexico versus Puerto Rico fight. Berlanga should probably go ahead and make that fight. Or Munguia should probably go ahead and make that fight. Unless the Benavidez fight really does offer a lot more money being a Showtime pay-per-view. But I think he should probably go ahead and take the Berlanga fight. And I'd probably make him... that's a 50-50 type. I'd probably make Berlanga a slight favorite. But I don't know, man. I don't know. The way he gets hit, and both guys are going to get hit. Munguia is more of a dog than Berlanga, but Berlanga's a natural 68 and hits harder than Munguia. Munguia out on his feet against a guy who started at 54 in Derevianchenko, a natural 68 with real power like Berlanga, might put him out, put him on his back. It'd be a fun fight. I don't think either guy is ever going to be some kingpin of the division, but it'd be a good fight, a fun fight. Jameson Childress, the cousin of Josh Childress. What's up, brother? Let me take a quick break from the boxing to answer the super chat. Thank you, Jameson Childress. Said, what's good, Sean? How was your son's birthday, brother? Son's birthday was good, but I think we're going to switch it up. This was the 3rd year in a row. I had a big pool party, bought a big jumpy house for all the kids to come by, and things got a little crazy. My son's a great boy, but he got a little distracted with all his presents and a lot of hoopla, a lot of stuff going on, and it made my son a little fussier than he usually is. So I think next year we're going to tone it down. We're just going to do family, you know, real close family, and do a smaller birthday. He'll still get his presents and his love, but I think something a little less distracting with 1 million people over the house, and it's going to be a little more intimate next year. But he's 4 years old now. He's going to be starting school in June, half days at a private school. That's going to cost me a pretty penny, but these public schools are crazy. And Las Vegas is rated number 50 out of 50 in the country. So we're going to put the little man in private school starting August. Thank you for the super chat, Jameson Childress, brother. Good to have you in here. And so moving on from Berlanga Quigley and the whole Munguia Benavidez Berlanga situation. Let's take a look, because of course we did put it in the title, and we don't clickbait you. We live up to the titles, and it's Deontay Wilder here giving his thoughts on Andy Ruiz. Hold on, let me mute that. Start back for a second. Kumusta, Sean? What do you mean entrep, man? I'm a little confused. What is that? What does that mean, my friend? Victor Garcia said Jaime Munguia got hit with some bombs against Chenko. Even if he got hit with a hammer, he was not going down. Munguia has heart. He does, and that's why I might favor him against Berlanga. Like I was saying, he's more of a dog than Berlanga. Not calling out Berlanga, but just Munguia to me, he reacts to taking punches better. Even though I've seen him hurt and buzz, no one's put him down yet though. But Berlanga definitely has the power to put him down. It's just you're gonna have to put a guy like Munguia out. He's a dog. Here we go.
Yo, Andy. Hey, it's time out for the games now, buddy. Let's get this fight on, man. Hey, we offer you a hell of a lot of money. Now, one thing I don't want you to allow others to dictate your career at this moment in time. It's only a short period of time that you have. And you got to man up to responsibility, because if you allow others to dictate your life at this point in time, you're going to end up with nothing. Zero. Broke, my man. Okay? So make wise decisions. I don't have no more time to wait on you about this situation. And we offer you a lot of money, and I think you should take it. And one thing I don't want you to do, though, is to allow others to dictate your career at this moment in time, bro. You only have a limited time left to make as much money as you possibly can. Don't allow others to interfere with this. You make the decision. It wouldn't be fair to you nor your kids that you miss out on zero because you allow others to interfere with your career at this moment in time. So think about it, bro. Hey, let's get this thing done, man. Let's get it signed, sealed, and delivered. As I said once again, I'm sick and tired of sitting around, man. Let's get the people what they asking for, what they want. Enough is enough. Ball's in your court now, baby. Let's get it. I'll see you soon, man. Hey, let's toast it up.
And then you see Andy Ruiz right here reply with a "let's go." So my man Deontay Wilder, got a lot of love for Deontay, a people's champion, a natural extrovert, a man of the people. Like in that respect, reminded me of the some of the heavyweight champs in the past, like Ali, in that they were extroverts and larger than life. They were okay with 1 million people coming up to them for autographs and interviews. They were up to the task, and Deontay is and has been, so that's something I've always respected and liked about him. But anyways, he's been kind of cryptic with it lately. For the last year, he's been talking about people in the business, and you're like, well, you can't be talking about Al Heyman because he's doing business with Al Heyman. He fought on Fox pay-per-view last fight. That was an Al Heyman thing. Al Heyman's the one putting together him and Andy Ruiz. So if Al Heyman's the one putting together him and Andy Ruiz, it can't be Al Heyman telling Andy Ruiz not to take the fight. And I think he said earlier in the week, he mentioned Andy's dad. He said, you're a grown, I know you love your daddy, but you're a grown-ass man too, so do it. So apparently it's about his dad. But it was just odd how Deontay kept talking about people in the business but not naming names in the last year. And then here he is too, and I guess on this one it's about Andy's dad. So, but Wilder Ruiz, if it happens, that's probably going to be the biggest fight here in American shores in the heavyweight division in 2023. You got to favor Wilder. Even coming off those tough Fury fights. Yeah, he knocked out Robert Helenius in a round, but he didn't get hit in that fight, so we don't even know how his punch resistance is. Helenius went down on the first right hand with like 50% leverage on it. Deontay backing straight back and just almost throwing an arm punch straight right hand and knocked him out with it. Freakish power with that right hand. And he's the favorite against Ruiz. Ruiz has actually fought, between, Areola as well. Forget that. Ruiz, Ortiz, Deontay knocked him out twice. So can I really say Ruiz in the last year or so has actually fought stiffer competition than Deontay? It's a moot point. Ruiz lately has been boxing more. He's been boxing more. And his best chance of beating Wilder, being a half foot shorter and much shorter arms, you would think, is to be on his Canelo Mike Tyson, hands up high, moving the head to get inside, and then exploding with the short shots against the taller, rangy guy, right? You would think that's Ruiz's best shot if he stays on the outside against Wilder's length and explosiveness. That's no man's land. The only range he could have success with is in close. But to get to that distance from point A to point B where you could have success on offense if you're Ruiz, you got to walk through the landmines. The landmines being the right-hand bombs of Deontay Wilder, and you need exquisite upper body movement and timing to do that, which Ruiz has shown in flashes during his career. But the Andy Ruiz as of late against Luis Ortiz and against Chris Arreola, he got in there and got his damage done, but he got clipped with big shots. Chris Arreola hurt him multiple times. Luis Ortiz hurt him multiple times. He was able to put both of them down. Well, actually, Arreola put him down, right? But, and there you go. If a well-faded, past it, still game as can be, love Chris Arreola, but if a faded, past it Chris Arreola put Andy Ruiz down with a right hand coming in, how's that? Do the math for Deontay Wilder with a right hand coming in. So, yeah, and Ruiz has been less willing since that first Joshua win to get in there and do his magic and cut that distance and be the warrior and bang. He's been boxing more. And with the hand speed advantage and the youth advantage over bigger guys that aren't giants, they're 6'4", Arreola and Ruiz and Ortiz, he was able to get away with that. He was able to have enough success and win those fights handily by outboxing them on the outside after he exchanged with them early and said, oh, these old guys can still crack. I could get knocked out myself trying to get the knockout. Let me be box smart and pick my spots. And that may have worked against guys who were 6'4", not the giants, not the giants of the division at 6'7", 6'6", 6'8", 6'9", like Wilder and Fury and Joshua and some others. But against a 6'7" athlete like Wilder, he's not going to be able to box on the outside. He'll have to re-summon to have any chance. He'll have to summon up the guy that fought in 2018 against Joshua in Madison Square Garden. And so that's Ruiz's best chance. I don't see that guy showing up. He's had a lot less punishment in his career than Deontay Wilder, and that is something to consider. But styles make fights, and I don't see Ruiz having the consistent courage and slickness to get past those landmines on the outside against the 6'7" athlete in Wilder. Get underneath, and explode Tyson Canelo style, Sean Porter style, to shout out my boy. I don't see that happening. He hasn't been winning fights in that style lately. And when he does fight in that style early in fights, he's getting caught enough to where it makes him reconsider that strategy of fighting. So you got to favor Wilder. I have a super chat to get to real quick. Raphael 32. What's up, Raphael 32? Shout out to you, my man. Always in the super chats. Raphael 32 saying the referee stole the Lubin fight and the J-Rock fight. Marquez versus Pacquiao, Castillo versus Corrales, the first fight I understand. Martiz versus Bernano, Filipino eardrum gone. Yeah, Martinez, right. So the super flyweight champ Martinez retains his belt in a not quite as publicized fight as the other 115-pound fight between Ioka and Franco. Josh Franco retired after that fight. Came in 2 weight classes heavy, and it turns out to be the last fight of his career. We'll get to that in a second. To touch on your point, though, saying that the ref stole the Lubin fight, Arias stole it from himself. Arias, I got love for Cuba. I've known him in Vegas for 10 years, giving me some great interviews. So I'm not happy to say this, but, Cuba didn't want to fight anymore. And, allowed himself to be counted out. Tried to milk he believes it was to the back of the head. Maybe it was a little bit, but he had to get up. Once the referee had made his decision, was counting him out, he had to beat the count. He wasn't able to do it. And then as for this fight, Adames and Williams, I didn't disagree with the stoppage. I thought that stoppage was fair. I think that J-Rock, to his credit, was holding up to more punishment than I thought he was capable against a puncher like Adames at 160. And right here's a borderline shot, but Adames was killing J-Rock's body. I had the fight 78-74, maybe 77-75 if I was being a little generous to Julian. But either way, Adames was up 6 rounds to 2, 5 rounds to 3. Adames doesn't have the best gas tank, but both guys were tired. I didn't think Adames was fading, and J-Rock did have a good round or two before that, but he couldn't keep Adames off of him. Adames was walking through everything, and every time he touched Julian, he hurt him, and he killed him to the body. Julian was taking a lot of punishment. His face was already busted up, and at the time the referee stopped it, I know Julian came back with a jab right as he was stepping in, but he was taking 20 to 30 unanswered shots. Hadn't just, I think he got Adames' attention with a straight right hand in round 3, but outside of that, he hit him with his best shots and couldn't keep him off, and he was taking a lot of punishment. I have a lot of respect for the coach, Breadman, Stephen Edwards, a great coach, great boxing mind. And Julian Williams, I think, is a more skilled fighter than Adames. But coming up from 54, having been stopped a couple times with not good punch resistance, getting hurt every time he's touched, I didn't think it was a bad stoppage. And I would love to see Adames and Janibek mix it up. I saw some people thinking Adames would run over Janibek. Let's not get carried away because he's doing his thing at 160 pounds and is revitalized, refreshed at 160. He got pieced up by Patrick Teixeira at 154. So, and he did that with length, being a long guy, pivoting out. Janibek can do some of that, and he has a good straight left hand. That'd be a very competitive fight, Adames and Janibek. Be a very competitive fight. Adames would have the advantage in close, and Janibek would have the advantage at distance, at range. So, thank you for the super chat, Raphael32. And then for Martinez retaining his belt, at the IBF belt at 115, he's a very, fun fighter. I think Gallo Estrada, Junto Nakatani, and Ioka would all beat him. But shout out to Martinez, promoted by Marcos Maidana. Good fighter, still undefeated, fun fighter to watch, all-out warrior. And but I don't think he beats the other top 115 pounders. But he's always fun to watch. And me and my man Ron Goodall, we did see him the night he won his belt. So, what else we got to touch on? That Ioka fight. Kazuto Ioka sticking his tongue out. Now, your boy usually gets them right. I usually get them right. I got this one wrong. No rematch. Raphael32 said no rematch for Lubin and Cuba. You are proving my point exactly. You just said it. Ref did a great job, says B. Excellent, ref. If you think Wilder can box, then you don't know shit about boxing, says John McSmith. He says, Malik Scott's got him working on those aspects, but it's not so much that Wilder is this traditionally good boxer, is that he's this explosive, gifted athlete at 6'7" who doesn't just punch hard, but he's fast. And so at long range, even if he's not the most skilled, doesn't have the best timing, just having a solid, decent jab at 6'7" with speed on it in range, and the same with the right hand, he's a very difficult guy to contend with on the outside. So that's why I don't think Ruiz, who has better boxing skills than Wilder, who has better timing usually than Wilder. Ruiz has very good timing, and up close has faster hands than Wilder. But at long range, I don't think Ruiz has the jab and the straight right hand that Wilder has. So, that's why, to address what you're saying, John McSmith, I still think that Wilder would beat him. Raphael32 says, great show. Thank you, brother. Even though we disagree on the Cuba and Lubin stoppage, I appreciate you still enjoying the show. B says, no, he did not. He got beat up in 3 unfair fights, 3 times with loaded gloves, and paid off ref, says B, in reference to the Fury-Wilder fights. Well, I think fight number 1 actually could have went Wilder's way, because 2 knockdowns, and Fury kind of pulled a Pernell Whitaker against Oscar De La Hoya in that first fight. He made him miss a lot, and he made him miss so spectacularly with upper body movement, make him hit air, and then in addition to making faces while he did it. And to be fair to Sweet Pete, he dropped Oscar in that fight. He didn't get dropped twice, but it reminded me of Sweet Pete Oscar in that you're making him miss a lot, making him miss spectacularly, but you're not scoring enough necessarily to take this fight home. And I felt that was kind of Wilder Fury 1. Fury was great defensively, came on strong after getting dropped in the 12th, with some great, landed his best shots of the fight after getting dropped. But actually, a lot of people thought Fury got robbed in that first fight, and I thought the draw was fine. And if anyone edged it, it was Wilder with 2 knockdowns and taking the fight to Fury all night. Even though he was usually inaccurate, Fury wasn't making him pay while making him miss enough for my liking. Fight number 2, Tyson Fury brought in the best version of himself that I think we'll ever see. That was peak Fury, and he delivered a beatdown. He delivered an all-time performance on Wilder. Look, I'm a conspiracy theorist my damn self, so I'm never going to completely rule out Wilder's accusations, but they're nothing that could hold up in court. You know what I mean? So it is salacious to say on Fury. Fury doesn't really have to defend himself. You know, the burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accusee. Or excuse me, yeah, whatever. But Mark Breland doing his first interview after that second fight, months after, with an MTK-related site or journalist is suspicious. Fury not being allowed to enter the United States because he's connected with Daniel Kinahan is suspicious. And if anyone was capable of such underhanded tactics that could lead to some manipulation in that second fight, it would be a gangster who doesn't give a fuck overseas like a Daniel Kinahan. And money is long. Money laundering money is long. Having billions of dollars from being one of the biggest drug dealers in the sport in the world means your money can reach across the Atlantic. And no, but that's insane speculation. Anyways, as it goes, Fury was going to beat Wilder no matter what that night, because I think that was the best Fury we'll ever see. He was great that night against Wilder. Then fight number 3 happens. Fury not as good as he is in fight number 2. Wilder much better in fight number 3 than he was in fight number 2. Props to Malik Scott for that. And they have one of the all-time greatest fights in boxing history, in my opinion. Some people thought it was a little sloppy in terms of skill, but it was for the heavyweight title, 2 behemoths, and there was 5 knockdowns in the fight. You can't beat it, in my opinion. That was an all-time great fight. That second knockdown in the 4th round was long. It was definitely longer than 10 seconds. That happens sometimes as the referee sorts things out. But if you're a Wilder fan, you're not wrong in saying the second count in fight number 3 was long. But it is what it is. Fury gets up and he's the better man at the end of the day after 3 fights. But they were 3 great fights, and if Wilder has the stuff he has, believes the things he believes, it is what it is on his part. I'm never going to trash him for it. I have respect for Wilder, but nothing Wilder says could ever hold up in court. But Fury, did do business with shady people. That's why we haven't had the heavyweight champion fight in the States. I miss covering him here, but. So, that's that as you get me to diverge on Wilder and Fury. To the little guys, to my man Kazuto Ioka winning a fight I didn't think he was going to win. I shout out to my man Daisuke Segura overseas. You know what? Let me take a look at that. My man Daisuke Segura, who's always nice enough to ask me to contribute to these articles in Japan, he asked me to break down this fight, Ioka and Franco 2. And your boy got one wrong. I never feel good getting one wrong. I take them all personally because I don't take a lot of L's in picking fights, so when I do, I take it. It hurts, and it has to hurt so you can learn from it. And so I thought Ioka was going to lose, was 34 years old, fighting Franco, who I think it was a very close fight, that first fight, but I thought if anyone won, it was Franco coming on in 11-12 to hurt Ioka. And then Ioka fighting at home, getting a draw. When a guy gets a draw in his hometown, that tells you the other guy probably deserved to get the nod. So I thought Franco, being much bigger, being much younger, was going to come in and finish the job that he did the first time. Turns out he comes in 6 pounds too heavy, and Ioka proved his greatness. I believe that Ioka was a better fighter than Franco, but I thought at 34 years old, these guys get old quicker in the lower weight classes. 34 is very old for a fighter at 115, and a guy that started at 108 against a big, strong Mexican kid from Texas. And I thought Franco was going to handle his business, and instead Ioka proved his greatness. I had it all wrong. I thought his Japanese warrior-ness was going to work against him. And I thought this guy at 34 being smaller, he's going to go in there again, and he's going to bang with the bigger, younger Mexican kid. And the bigger, younger Mexican kid is gonna have those left hooks to the body this time, slow him down, and he'll have the edge going toe-to-toe. But that's not what happened. I thought Ioka would have to box more, use his hand speed and his foot speed advantages in a more boxing manner. And instead, he took the fight right to Franco with the shorter, more compact, better thrown combinations, and he backed him up. And Franco couldn't fight backing up. And Franco surprisingly backed up, because he usually don't take a step back. But as it turns out, the young man Franco at 27 didn't have as much fight in him, as much fighting spirit as we thought, because he retired after the fight. 18 wins, 3 losses, 2 draws, won a title. And so Josh Franco hangs it up. And now Kazuto Ioka, with 6 world titles in 3 divisions, he might be a Hall of Famer. So shout out to Kazuto Ioka, because a lot of us don't watch all the fights overseas for the world titles in the lower weight divisions. And so when we see someone like Ioka ranked above a Shakur Stevenson or a Tank Davis or some other Jermall Charlo, we think, what is this nonsense? This is boxing nerds being boxing nerds, trying to pull a name out of the hat that even some hardcore boxing fans don't know, just to prove how much more they know more about boxing than you do, right? But no, it's that pound for pound lists were made so that guys like Ioka don't get overlooked for being little. And he's a great fighter, and probably will make the Hall of Fame at some point. So shout out to Kazuto Ioka. We had to start with the bigger names to get you guys in, but Raphael 32 said, what about the other Nakatani at the smaller weights? Shouldn't he be pound for pound, not Ioka? Well, the problem is that Nakatani, I think, would beat Ioka right now. I think Nakatani's the man at 115 in terms of head-to-head. But he hasn't had the kind of decorated resume that someone like Ioka or Estrada has. So Ioka and Estrada, if they're smart, they should mix it up next, and neither one should fight this young, tall, undefeated kid with a monster left hand, because they're more established. Let the veterans get their money and unify, and then hopefully the kid gets his shot against the winner. B said, yes, please explain who y'all is. Say what you mean. I don't recall saying y'all. I said a lot of us, because I'm including myself from people who don't always get to catch the Iokas and stuff. I'm not pointing fingers there. I'm one of them. I'm a hardcore boxing man, and yet I'd be lying if I said I caught every title fight in the lower weight divisions overseas. So I wasn't picking on anybody, B. Junto is a beast, Batman. What's up, Batman Boxing? You were the first person in here, brother. Thank you for supporting and for showing up, man. Raphael 32 said no, he would not. That Junto would not. I think he's saying that he's saying that I'm reaching by saying Junto would win. Is that what you're saying? Oh, okay, Keezy Locks. Okay, I get confused. Thank you for clearing that up, Keezy Locks, in the chat. All right, chat. What else we got to get to now? Again, didn't think this was a bad stoppage. And 160 is barren right now, man. Charlo's about to move up, get that money against Canelo. Andrade already moved up. Munguia moved up. So Adames and Janibek is the best fight that can happen, and it won't happen because Janibek's top rank and Adames is PBC, and wouldn't even if they're not going to come together for certain fights, they damn sure are not coming together for these two. But that's too bad. That's probably the best fight in the division. Shout out to Ioka, man. Go ahead, stick your tongue out like Jordan, because you might be going to the Hall of Fame now based off that win. All right, so another fight for us to get to. Jameson Childress. Before we get to Cruz Dezern, Savannah Marshall for the undisputed super middleweight title, got to show some love to the ladies. Jameson Childress, the great cousin of the former great Josh Childress, the athletic wing with the beautiful afro. Jameson Childress said, with the super chat, said, what's your personal criteria for pound rankings? Very simple, Jameson, very simple. I try not to get too crazy with pound for pound because like Stevenson, Tank, and Shakur Stevenson, Devin Haney, Tank Davis, right? it's like, does it really matter whether I have 8, 9, and 10 one way or the other? All three of them, you could mix and match however you really want to rate them, 8 through 10, or however you got them on the three that they make up in a top 10 pound for pound. But it gets a little silly at a certain point. If me and somebody are really starting to get red in the face about Tank is better than Shakur pound for pound, or vice versa, it's like maybe they should just fight. That's the only way we're really gonna know in that kind of scenario who's better pound for pound, Devin or Tank or Shakur. It's like they got to fight each other at some point. So let's not go too crazy with hypothetical arguments about it, right? Because we want these guys to settle it in the ring eventually, and almost not enable them by being fanboys on each side and arguing for their side. Both fanboys on each side, for example, with a Shakur and Tank, instead of going crazy with each other about my guy's better pound for pound, no, my guy's better pound for pound, put pressure on each of your guys to fight each other at some point. Let them know, hey, I'm not just going to ride or die for you in some hypothetical. My man, I believe in you. You need to get in the ring and get busy and make it happen. We need to see that happen. Because fuck arguing with them. I believe you'll shut them up. So do it. But even if you do that, that's not going to move mountains. It's not going to move mountains. But I'm just saying. But basically, Jameson, the way I would do a pound for pound criteria is very simple. 50% accomplishments resume, 50% who do you think would actually win in the fight. So 50%. So like Crawford, clearly, like someone like Crawford, I think has been, and I don't want to downplay his accomplishments, because becoming undisputed, you can only fight who's put in front of you. Becoming undisputed is a great accomplishment regardless of the caliber of opposition you took to get there. But I think Crawford was rated #1 pound for pound for a while, just as much on his eye test, on how good he is as a fighter with his skill set, than really he was rated on accomplishments. Because if you were basing it on accomplishments, there's no way Terrence is ahead of a Canelo or a Chocolatito. Trying to think of some other guys. Just to use two examples. But a lot of us did put Terrence Crawford ahead of Chocolatito and a Canelo Alvarez because we think pound for pound, if Chocolatito, as great as he is, beautiful inside fighter, one of the all-time great offensive fighters, one of the all-time little guys in boxing history, he would probably get counterpunched on the outside by Crawford. So we put Crawford ahead of Chocolatito, even though Chocolatito's beaten more Hall of Famers, even though he's done it in more divisions, even though he's unified more. I don't know if that's true. He may have unified, because Terrence hasn't unified at 47 or 35. He unified at 40. I think Chocolatito unified in a couple divisions. I know Canelo unified in a couple of divisions. But yeah, basically it's got to be you got to be walking the fine line between accomplishments and resume. So accomplishments and eye test, how good they look, using your boxing eyes. So someone like, that's why someone like a Boots Ennis is a pound for pound talent, but you just can't put him on any pound for pound list yet. So that's how that would go. Jameson Childress, another question by my man Jameson Childress said, last question, do you feel heavyweight should be on the pound for pound list? I don't personally. That's a great question. Part of me wants to say no, so as to open it up for everyone else below heavyweight to get shine, because becoming heavyweight champion ensures you get shine in and of itself. You don't really need pound for pound. Pound for pound was made so that Ray Robinson could be recognized just as much as Joe Louis. That was the real reason they made pound for pound, was for him. But at the same time, I think if the truth of the matter is one of the top 10 pound for pound just happens to be a heavyweight, then I think he should be on there. Lennox Lewis, in his prime, was on all the pound for pound lists in the early 2000s. He was up there with Roy and with Oscar and with Floyd, and I think that was fair. Someone like Fury, it's tough, because one reason Fury's so good is that he's 6'9", 270, and can move. If he was 6'4", he might not be the heavyweight champion of the world. So clearly, Alexander Usyk, pound for pound, is better than Tyson Fury. Clearly. Because if Tyson Fury was a 6'3" cruiserweight who had to move up, he wouldn't be as successful as he is with the same skill set. But at 6'9", at 270, his abilities are incredible. So, it's tough. It's tough. I think someone like Lennox Lewis deserved it back in the day. Vlad Klitschko, he had his years on there, and they put him on there just because how dominant he was in a very weak era, but just how dominant he was. I don't think heavyweights should be disqualified from the pound for pound list if they're really just that excellent. Because Mike Tyson to me might be better pound for pound than he is as a heavyweight. And he was a heavyweight, Mike Tyson was. Same with Evander Holyfield. I don't think Buster Douglas beats Mike Tyson if he's 5'11", 210 pounds, as opposed to 6'5", 225, 230 pounds. So yeah, it's tough, but B says Wilfred Benitez needs more respect on his name. Never seen a fighter that could do what he could do defensively. I think Wilfred Benitez gets his love by people who know their shit. I think a popular opinion by people who know their shit is that Benitez is the uncrowned fifth king of the four kings. He beat Roberto Duran, lost to Hearns and Leonard, but beat Roberto Duran. And I believe Wilfred Benitez at 17 years old at 140 still holds the record for the youngest world champion in boxing history. I think, let's go ahead and double check that, chat. Hold on, Marshall and Cruz Dezern. We'll get to you. We'll be right back. I think it's Benitez, though, man, at 140, youngest world champion in boxing history. Yeah, man, it was Benitez. Wilfred Benitez, yeah. At just 17 years old. God damn. Benitez captured the WBA against Antonio Cervantes, like a good fighter. And he was lineal. That's incredible. You know what, B? You're right. Just off the strength of that alone, he needs more love. He's the youngest. He was a world champion against grown men at 17 years old. That's insane. Mike Tyson was 20 when he knocked out Trevor Berbick for the heavyweight title. Still the youngest heavyweight champion of all time. Fernando Vargas was 22 when he beat Yuri Boy Campas. And Canelo was 20, 21. But 17 years old for Wilfred Benitez. Shout out to the legend, man. You might be right, B. You might be right. I was just saying, amongst hardcore boxing fans, he does get his respect as an all-time great. So anyways, moving on to the ladies, Marshall and Cruz Dezern. Buster Douglas did have talent, Raphael 32, and Buster on that night against Mike Tyson was very, very hard to beat. Mike on his best night would have had a big problem with Buster Douglas that night in Tokyo. Even the Mike that fought Michael Spinks, it wouldn't have been a walkover. Buster Douglas was special that night in Tokyo. It was the only night he fought like that, truly. But yeah, anyways, Jairo Galvez saying Chocolatito is never unified in multiple divisions. Well, thank you for the correction. I know he unified at 15. I know he did that. I believe he did that. Why do I want to say he did that? I think he did, right? Well, you know what, Jairo Galvez? We're going to check me right here live on FightHype Live. Gonzalez, BoxRec. Let's check that real quick. I believe he had to unify at some point. Maybe not. Yeah, he did. WBC, WBA. Oh, no, but he lost. Never mind. Lost. I mean, everyone thought he won that fight. Fight number 2 with Estrada. He would have unified, but coulda, shoulda, woulda. No, you are correct. He was the lineal champ in a couple of divisions, not just at 115, but you are correct. He never unified. But starting at minimum weight at 115, wins that. So he wins a belt at minimum weight, at light flyweight, and then at flyweight, then super flyweight, and then he regains a belt at super flyweight. So, and then he got that WBC diamond but we won't count that as a title. So 5 world titles in 4 divisions for Chocolatito, and actually Terrence Crawford got 6 titles in 3 divisions. So there you go. I'm happy. I got a sharp chat to correct me sometimes. Can't just go off top. That's where you get shit wrong. Shout out to Jairo Galvez. So yeah, I agree with Raphael 32 in the chat. I have Savannah Marshall winning this fight coming up Saturday. I got love for Franchon. I've interviewed Franchon. She is, she's our fellow American and going overseas. But Savannah Marshall's a good fighter. I think even though she got handled against Clarissa Shields, that was a very entertaining fight, and she impressed me with her heart, with her punch resistance, with her size, her punching power. And Franchon Cruz de Zern is not the kind of athlete Clarissa Shields is. She doesn't have the kind of hand speed and technique that Clarissa Shields has. She's not as athletic as Clarissa Shields, can't bounce around the ring like Clarissa Shields. She's very tough. She's a good fighter, and you don't become an undisputed champion without having your skill set. She's the queen at 68, but going overseas against a younger girl who I think punches harder than Franchon. And I don't think Franchon's going to have that athleticism and that hand speed to keep Marshall off and to win every exchange like Clarissa did. Clarissa, even when Marshall got through with a couple of shots, a couple of uppercuts, Clarissa could just let go of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 punch combinations like very few fighters, female or male, can do. So there's only one Clarissa Shields. I don't think Cruz de Zern's going to be able to do the things that Shields did against Marshall. I think Marshall is legit. She's a dangerous woman. She punches hard, big and strong and tough, and fighting at home. So I know Clarissa Shields is pulling for Franchon Cruz de Zern, but I got love for Franchon, but I got to give the edge to Savannah Marshall, and so do the bookies. Marshall is minus 450. That's being a heavy favorite, and it's 3-1 on Cruz de Zern. So even though she's the champion, she's a 3-1 underdog, 4.5-1 if you're betting on Marshall. Big underdog. I got Savannah winning that fight, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes down. I might call it here on FightHype on Saturday. Kobe with the super chat. What's up, Kobe? Kobe telling me, hot take, Ryan Garcia is the MVP for boxing this year. PBC feels comfortable taking risks for this big fight is because of the profit from the Tank fight. Good take. Yeah, Ryan crossing the street and forcing his way across the street. What it did is, I do believe that it helped make Crawford Spence a little bit, because I think Showtime in the suits were able to kind of go back to Crawford and say, look, man, I know you're not happy about your lack of guarantee, your 8-figure guarantee that he may or may not have secured in the end. But just look at what these pay-per-views does. This wasn't even an undisputed title fight. This kid, Ryan Garcia, has never even really fought on network television since he fought Jason Velez on ESPN like 5 years ago. And we did over 1 million pay-per-view buys, reportedly, on that fight. So your pay-per-view, even if you don't do 1.2 million like was reported with Tank and Ryan, if you do half of that, you're going to by far make your career high payday. You're going to easily get into the 8 figures, 10 million plus, if this fight does 500,000 pay-per-view buys. And these two kids fighting for no belts did over 1 million. So now it's different, because drawing in the mainstream masses, they don't get drawn in by 4 belts. They don't get drawn in by years of elite fighting. They get drawn in by other things. Ryan and Tank arguing with Kai Kanat, the Twitch guy. Like that's what gets things popping sometimes in the mainstream. But yeah, I do feel like Ryan forcing his way to the PBC to make that Tank fight against Oscar's wishes, and then the fight exceeding expectations, even PBC's expectations at the box office. It made it easy for them to pitch certain other big fights happen. Look, I say reportedly because until someone like Showtime Espinoza confirms the numbers, you can never 1,000% be sure. But clearly those numbers are fairly accurate, or in the ballpark at the very least, because Canelo was persuaded to leave the zone and come to PBC. And that tells me Canelo took a look at the numbers and said, damn, that pay-per-view money is serious. And so he opts to go not for just one fight like he did last time for Caleb Plant, but 3 fights, a multi-fight deal with PBC. So yeah, now the risk really came from Ryan, because I think for PBC and Tank's side, it was a perfect risk. It was a kid who's got a bigger name, a bigger market appeal than fighters twice as good in Stevenson and in Haney. And then on your own side, someone like Frank Martin, Ryan Garcia's 10 times, 20 times more market appeal, marketability, whatever the fuck, than Frank. So it really wasn't a bit. It was the definition of a beautiful calculated risk by PBC. Fighting Shakur Stevenson or Devin Haney, that's a real risk. Not only are they not bringing as fat a reward at this point that Ryan did, but they're much more difficult fighters to beat. So I don't want to go too crazy there, but no, Ryan forcing his way to PBC and the numbers exceeding expectations, including PBC's own, I think it's definitely helped make Spence Crawford, and it's helped convince Canelo to come their way for multiple fights. So thank you for the super chat, Kobe. So let's see. My name doesn't say anything. Says Canelo is ducking Benavidez and everyone at 68. Strip him of his titles. My name doesn't say anything. The WBC is going to love, and the IBF and the WBA, they're going to love that 3% of those Canelo paydays too much to strip him, whether it's right or not. And we all know the best fight in the world at 68, maybe in boxing, period, is Canelo and Benavidez. But Canelo wants to go ahead and get that Charlo fight in first. I don't hate it. Charlo is going to do something against Canelo that very few fighters have done against Canelo in the past several years. Even Bivol, who beat him, didn't really do this much, and that's exchange. That's plant your feet and trade. Charlo, behind his power jab, whether he loses or not, is going to mix it up with Canelo. That's his style. That's his temperament. And that's going to be exciting, seeing a guy who, even though he's moving up, he towers over Canelo. He's 6 foot, almost 6'1". Big athlete, athletic guy with power. And I think he's going to want to test Canelo toe-to-toe at spots in that fight, unlike Plant, unlike Callum Smith, unlike Saunders, even unlike Bivol for much of that fight. Bivol was smart, in and out, not fully committing to anything, weary of the counter, weary of the exchanges. He did do a nice little catch-and-shoot left hook in close on Canelo in the championship rounds that caught Canelo by surprise, getting a little lazy in the exchanges. But for the most part, he outboxed Canelo. He didn't fight him. And Charlo will. Even if Charlo gets pieced up, he's going to plant his feet and exchange with Canelo at times, and that's going to be fun to watch. And even though Canelo and Charlo probably should have mixed it up in 2019 at 160, that was the perfect time for that fight. It's still an exciting style matchup. I'm looking forward to it. And if Canelo doesn't fight Benavidez after that, then it's a straight duck. He's technically ducking him a little bit already by not fighting him right away at 68. But, like Judge Mills Lane would say in Celebrity Deathmatch, I'll allow it. I'll allow it. My man, Fire in My Bones. What's up, Fire in My Bones? Said, I'm at the dealership getting my truck looked at. Stumbled upon this live. I hope it's getting you through well, Fire in My Bones, and it's not some bullshit. I hope it's getting your errands. You're getting through your errands with a good listen here. So shout out to my man, Fire in My Bones. But to keep things moving, maybe the next heavyweight champion from America, easily our biggest hope that America could have a great heavyweight in the future. The real big baby, Jared Anderson, fighting this Saturday. Got Marshall and Cruz Lazerne fighting for undisputed in England, but big baby Anderson having his homecoming fight in Toledo, Ohio, fighting a replacement in a better fight, I think, against Charles Martin. Big baby, we got an interview with him set to drop. He made some headway, some headlines over on FightHub with Marcos Villegas talking about retirement at 26, 27. That was like the opposite of music to my ears. That's nails on a chalkboard, Jared. I don't want to hear that. You're just getting started. You just got 14 fights. Let's become heavyweight. Fuck retirement. Come on, brother. You got America on your back, and you're thinking about retirement. Come on, Jared. But And that's all love. I say that because, like I said, our hopes are on his back for giving us a great American heavyweight. And so it turns out he's going to fight Charles Martin instead. And I like this replacement because even though Alexander Usyk has 3 of the 4 belts, in today's heavyweight division, from Lennox Lewis to Vlad Klitschko to Vitaly Klitschko to Anthony Joshua to Tyson Fury to Deontay Wilder, basically with the exception of Usyk, in the last 20 years, the best heavyweights are going to be giants. They're going to be at least 6'5", 6'5.5", and up. It's big guys. This isn't the golden era of the 70s and the 90s anymore when dudes were 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", 215, 210, 220. It's the day and age of the giants ever since Lennox Lewis took over the division. It's basically become the division of the giants. And the cat that Jared was set up to fight originally, Kosobutsky from Kazakhstan. I think he was 19-0 with 18 knockouts, but he was 6'3", and he was a short, compact, mid-range, kind of mid to close, not close range, not a phone booth fighter, but a mid-range, short chopping shots, southpaw, short chopping shots on offense, 6'3", come forward kind of guy. And he was going to run into a buzzsaw with Jared. I don't know how much Jared would have got for his development against a southpaw coming to him who's actually even smaller than he is. I think Jared's just at that size where he's not too small, but just at that size, at 6'4", 240, he's not going to be the bigger guy. He's going to be the smaller guy, but he's not too little. He's not too little. And then he's at the size where you could still have more fluidity than those bigger guys and combat their size with better skills and fluidity. And Jared's very fluid. But Kosobutsky, he's a little guy. So I don't know what Jared was going to get out of that development-wise. Kosobutsky was rated number 5, or he was in number 8 by the WBC, something like that. He was in the top 8 or 9 by a couple of sanctioning bodies. But Charles Martin at 6'5", with an 80-inch reach. You see Jared, 6'4", 78.5-inch reach. Charles Martin, 6'5", 80-inch reach. Now he's starting to approach the size of the big guys he'll have to take on in the future. And we all know Charles Martin, went down in 2 against Anthony Joshua in his most notable fight. But he was the IBF heavyweight champion for 3 months. Excuse me. 2 months, 2.5 months, almost 3 months. He was the IBF heavyweight champion for 2.5 months, way back when in 2016. And he has fought guys like Luis Ortiz, who he lost to by technical knockout, but he dropped Ortiz a couple times in a very good fight. So he's fighting a guy who's fought some of the best in the division, who's held a belt, and most importantly, too, is a big fella. He's a big guy. He's bigger than Jared. Not by a whole lot, but he's bigger than Jared. So I think this fight is better for Jared Anderson's development than Kosobutsky. I expect Jared to win. I expect him to stop him. And Jared, he wouldn't like me for saying this because he's mad at Tim Bradley. Tim Bradley lately has been saying he's a little lackadaisical on defense, although in his last fight he wasn't, against Arias. He didn't take anything in the short time that it lasted. But as he's blowing away these guys, not playing with his food like you like to see from an American heavy punching heavyweight, getting guys out of there with a level of meanness and intent. But you love that. But he hasn't been as disciplined at defense in a couple performances. He'll throw the punch, lazily bring the hand back to his chest instead of the chin, and he's not worried about what's coming back. He's trying to get them up out of there. So he shows the fluidity and the skills to be sharp defensively, just like he is on offense, but these guys aren't getting any respect out of him. He'll tell you that. They ain't getting no respect out of him. So it might be good for his development to get hit with something that will make him think twice, that will make him on his P's and Q's on defense. Maybe Charles Martin can fit that bill. I doubt Charles Martin's going to win Saturday night, but maybe he could give Jared Anderson the kind of resistance he needs at this stage of his development. And on the topic of Jared, love his skill set, love his fluidity. I love the kind of physical shape he's getting in now. His body's transforming. Love that he's mean in there. doesn't play with his food, is there to get you out of there. Didn't love his comments about early retirement. Didn't love that. And he compared himself to Riddick Bowe early in his career. And I see the similarities in that he's a big man with fluidity. And he's a big man that likes to exchange on the inside. He doesn't need to keep it long, although he does know how to keep it long. Pause, as Shakur Stevenson would say. But I didn't love that retirement talk, and that's where you start to remind us of Riddick Bowe and some of the ways you don't want to remind us of Riddick Bowe. And that was Riddick's sometimes lack of passion. And that's why even after just one loss to Holyfield, who he beat twice, he retired pretty young. Was a little bit of a lack of commitment, lack of passion. We're not seeing that from Jared. He's in the best shape I've seen him in yet. So he's actually training better than ever, it would seem. But that wasn't music to the ears. Him talking about retirement at 26 and 27. That's him really. You're just getting into your prime at those ages instead of talking about retirement. But just like Teofimo Lopez, I think that's all talk. I think they probably believe it in the moments they say it. Although part of it could be negotiation tactics with Top Rank, in that if you don't pay me what I feel I'm deserved, then I'll just walk away from the sport. It could be a negotiation tactic a little bit. But so I like Jared, and I think this fight with Charles Martin is better for him in his development than Kosabutsky was going to be, because Martin is more experienced than Kosabutsky. He's bigger than Kosabutsky. Maybe it'd be a blessing in disguise for Jared if he gets hit with a big shot in this fight, so he can experience that. Experience is important. So, but I expect him to win the fight by stoppage, Jared Anderson. I expect it to be fun. So, Fire in My Bones said that Top Rank special with Roy Jones was a little concerning. I gotta watch it. I've heard that. And it sounds to me like Jared has a little bit of that modern athlete syndrome, where they kind of feel victimized. They feel like the public views them as a circus animal. We want you to perform for us, and we don't care if you get hurt. But that's kind of just the world, man. Do you really care about the guy at Walmart that checks you out? Do you know about his kids? Do you the bug exterminator? You're nice to him when he comes over, but do you really care? And so someone like Jared has to think of it, not take it so bad from that aspect. It's not that you're some animal performing. This is for you at the end of the day. You're not really fighting for our entertainment. You're fighting for your own self-enrichment. And we watch it because we like to be blown away by your skills and your, what you bring to the ring, just like it is in all other sports. And, I'm not saying you're wrong, but that perspective, it's not going to make you happy. You're gonna feel victimized a little bit in that perspective. And instead, you got to realize you're not really fighting for us anyways. You're fighting for yourself and for your own family and for your own goals in life. So yeah, don't get caught up in that, man. Fighters can't afford to have that mentality as much as other athletes, because boxing is so much tougher. And I don't know. Actually, I'm getting a little stupid with that. I'm getting a little off course with that kind of philosophical stuff, but just to address it, yeah. But for Jay, hey, he's young, man. He's 23 years old, and Tio's 25. When I was their age, I wasn't being nearly as productive with my life as they were. So, give them time to mature as well. And so yeah, shout out to Jared. Looking forward to seeing him fight Saturday. And also, what else we got here? Yeah, that was from earlier when we were comparing the reach of Canelo and everybody. Got that. Get that out of here. All right, and let's close with a little throwback talk. So yesterday was the 18th anniversary of Thunder and Lightning Mayweather Gotti. In my opinion, the best version of Floyd Mayweather that ever entered a boxing ring, some people would say 2001 at 130 against Diego Corrales. Maybe that was the guy. Some people would actually say the guy that fought Canelo, much more muscled up and stronger and comfortable at 154 than he was in the days of De La Hoya in 07. I think that Canelo Mayweather was the best version of Money Mayweather we ever saw. He mastered the Money Mayweather style that night, and somehow at 36 his legs looked greater. It looked as good as they basically ever did. around that, again, the first Maidana fight and the Mosley fight, it looked like Floyd's legs, what's going on there? But then against Guerrero and against Canelo, they came to life beautifully. But for my money, the best version of Floyd Mayweather, Pretty Boy or Money or 130 to 154, was this guy against Gotti, his first ever pay-per-view fight. HBO did a great job selling that fight to young people like me who actually thought Gotti had something of a chance. And then Max Kellerman spilled the beans after everybody bought the pay-per-view. After HBO got your money, right before they went to main event time, Max Kellerman goes, this is the biggest mismatch in pay-per-view boxing since Tyson Lewis. And very smart by Max. You already got our money. And then sure enough, it was that big of a mismatch. And Floyd, who isn't always a combination puncher, he was in the lower weight classes, put together some of the best thrown combinations you'll see in this fight. Gotti wasn't really at his best for this fight. I think Gotti was a lot fresher around the time De La Hoya beat him up in 5 rounds, but it's inconsequential. He was never going to touch Floyd. But, yeah, maybe the finest performance of Floyd's career. Not talking about caliber of opposition, but just he himself, what he was bringing to the table that night. Even though Floyd only really had a pit stop at 140, I'm tempted to say he might have been the greatest 140-pounder ever. It's very simple. At 140, it's 6 names. It's this man right here, Floyd Mayweather, when he pit stopped at 140 against Gotti and Bruselas and Corley. It's Oscar De La Hoya, the night he beat Julio Cesar Chavez for the title at 140. It's Costa Tszyu, around the time he knocked out Judah. It's Aaron Pryor, the night he beat Alexis Arguello. It's Terrence Crawford, the night he beat Julius Ndongo. And it's Manny Pacquiao, the night he knocked out Ricky Hatton. Those are the 6 best 140-pounders, I think, in boxing history. Mayweather, Pryor, Tszyu, Pacquiao, Crawford, and who was De La Hoya. So, and on that point, I thought we'd take a look at the future. Beautiful straight right hand to start. Look at those uppercuts, and then he gets the backhand up to block and continues the jab. Now this is the most impressive move right here. He looks at his mother, Yaya Mayweather. Hold on. He does a jab and a beautiful step. Look at that. Jab and then step back out of range. He landed his jab and then stepped back out of his range, kind of like his grandpa used to do to the body with his jab. And then he gets the hands up. Look at the bounce and the balance. Emmanuel Stewart said the secret to a great fighter is balance. Look at the balance on NBA Young Floyd. Or KJ. Shout out to KJ. I don't mean to parade around this baby. All right, I'm sorry. Let him be a kid, as my man BT told me before we went live. But hold on, chat. Look how he threw the straight right hand. And then got his head off the line immediately. Hold on. Straight right hand, gets his head off the line. Genetics are real, people. I've been trying to teach my little son how to keep his hand, he's not messing with KJ. Genetics are real, people. Genetics are real. My Lord. He's a baby and he already has balance in his bounce. When he threw a jab and then stepped out of range to get... Anyway, the future is bright. No, I'm just kidding. Let the kid be a kid. He don't got a box. But some good talent right there by Floyd's grandson. I'm just showing some love. I'm not trying to put the kid on a pedestal and put all these expectations on him and make him get punched in the face for a living. Hopefully he could be a doctor or something. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't see the talent already at 1 years old, 1.5 years old. The boxing analyst in me waits for nobody, and I couldn't help it right there, Chad. I couldn't help it. So, but that's that. And that's it for the show, basically, guys. I mean, we could wrap up with a little undisputed if you guys want, but I don't know about that. Some of you just like to keep it to the real life boxing. And man, that's it for everything we touched on, chat. If there's anything you guys want me to touch on before we get out of here and continue our Monday, thank you to all 150 of us. That's crazy. Talent showing already. It just shows you genetics are real. That nature versus nurture argument, clearly nature plays its fucking role too. It's not all just how you're raised. Molly Mall, shout out to Molly Mall, man. Thank you, brother, thank you for being in the chat, and good to see you. Says, how would Pretty Boy Floyd fight Tank Davis? In and out, like Pretty Boy Floyd. Floyd would beat him. As great as I think Tank at 130, eye test wise, he never unified. He didn't stick around, but eye test wise is a great. I think he was great at 130, and I think he's becoming great at 35. It just needs the names, the Haneys, the Stevensons, the Martins to prove it, to really prove it. But as good as Tank is right now, and he's very good. He's a top 10 pound for pound fighter. Is very complete. Doesn't throw enough punches, you could say. Lets rounds get away from him, but has power, speed, skills, timing, and a good chin. Has a full hand worth of skills. But Pretty Boy Floyd was something different. Nobody's as fast as Floyd was at that time at 130, and Floyd might have had the best reflexes. If Floyd is in the discussion, not saying he's it, but he's in the discussion back at 130 to 140 as having some of the fastest hands of all time. Probably top 5, if not top 10, probably top 5 fastest hands of all time at 130 pound for pound. Not just saying 130 pounders. And then Camacho was just as fast. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if he's the fastest, but when you're talking the fast of the fastest, Floyd was there. And then reflexes. When you talk about cat-like reflexes, it's Roy Jones at 68, in those days. It's Floyd Mayweather in his days, and it's Ali before he went to Vietnam, or before the Vietnam draft thing happened. When you talk about cat-like reflexes, that was Floyd at those days. And he threw more punches than Tank. He had a better jab than Tank. Floyd's 5'8" with long arms. Tank is 5'5" with not as long arms as Floyd. The only real advantage Tank has is punching power. And it's going to be hard to land that against the in-and-out movement of Floyd the insane reflexes of Floyd back then. I mean, he was so twitchy. It was insane. I mean, you could feint, and he could bite on the feint, and it wouldn't matter because you're like, well, if I would have thrown it, that shit would have missed by a mile anyways because the man can back out of range so quickly with those twitches and reflexes. So I think Floyd would have beat Tank. I don't hesitate to say that at all. That's no knock on Tank. He is rounding into a great fighter, but Floyd threw more punches. Floyd had longer arms. Floyd was taller. Floyd had better feet. Floyd was even faster than him. And Floyd all day. How would he have fought him? He'd have just been Pretty Boy Floyd. In and out, not stay in front of him too long. Use his length and pick him apart. And a 130 Floyd would have put some shots on him too. It wouldn't have been like a Money Mayweather versus Baldemir versus Robert Guerrero. Floyd would have looked to put some shots on him as the fight progressed because that was his temperament at that time when he was really young. So yeah. Let me see here. Morales was fast at 126. Morales was a problem. Eric Morales at 122 to 130, all-time great. 122, some would say the greatest 122 pounder ever. Morales was a problem at 122. I think Morales would have beaten Wilfredo Gomez. Wilfredo Gomez was too little for Eric Morales. And Eric Morales, with his granite chin, you're not knocking him out. I don't care if you are 32-0 with 32 knockouts at 122. You're not knocking out El Terrible. So, I think Thomas Hearns and Leonard would have beaten Floyd, says Buckham. I think so too. I think they would have beaten Floyd too. But it's fair. It's important to note for Floyd that if you pick guys like Leonard or Hearns to beat him in hypotheticals at 47, Floyd started at 30. And those guys ended up knocking out light heavyweights. So it's not really a fair pound-for-pound fight, Floyd and Hearns. Hearns is a 6'2 welterweight that wound up knocking out light heavyweights. Leonard's a 5'10 welterweight who wound up knocking out light heavyweights. Floyd's a 5'8 super featherweight who ended up at light middleweight. He's not really as big as them. yeah, I do think Leonard and Hearns in their primes would have beaten Floyd, but that doesn't mean that they're pound for pound better than Floyd. I think Hearns and Floyd, if they're both 5'8" or both 6'2", I think Floyd wins. So it's tough. Eric Morales couldn't beat Danny Garcia. Well, Gyro, Eric Morales was old and fat at 140 pounds. We're talking about 1997 to 2005 Eric Morales, not 2012. Fat, once retired, several times beaten Eric Morales. We're talking about that guy from 1997 when he beat Daniel Zaragoza in Mexico to 2005 when he beat Pacquiao in the first fight. That's Morales' prime. 8 years is a really good prime. So Duran versus Floyd at 135, 140, 147. Who wins? I got Duran at 47. I got Duran at 35, and I got Floyd at 40 and 47. So someone asked me about the Thomas Hauser stuff on Floyd back in the day about the PEDs and what was it? The this to that levels, the testosterone to this levels, and he received the fluid drain, and yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't hold up in court. Wasn't enough to get the commission on Floyd. But look, man, I remember. I don't put it past anybody in professional sports, especially with all that money on the line. I'll just say that, I wouldn't have been surprised if him and Manny were on something heading into that fight. Wouldn't be surprised, but it's all speculation. So, I gotta keep it pushing because I can't speculate too much on unsubstantiated stuff. But yeah. Sean, what is the dude's name that Corrales fought twice and did not want to fight Floyd? The Argentine. Are you thinking, Rafael 32, if you're thinking of Casamayor, they fought 3 times. And if you're thinking of Acelino Freitas, he was from Brazil, and they only fought once. Floyd would have beaten either one, I think. And then I think Casamayor and Freitas were getting big fights on Showtime, and Floyd was fighting on HBO, so it just didn't line up. So Floyd wound up fighting Castillo anyways, who was actually the legit champ, because he beat Stevie Johnston for the lineal crown, the WBC crown. But is it Sean or Sean? It's Sean, S-E-A-N, the Irish way, not the American way. Thank you, champion, for asking. I don't get mad if you spell it incorrectly, though. As long as you just get my name, Sean, I'm good. Floyd figured everybody out, and Mr. Quick, that's you saying Floyd figured it out. I think earlier on you said that Leonard and Hearns wouldn't have fucked with him. They would have figured him out. Look, you got to calm down, man. De La Hoya, still a champion, still dangerous when he fought Floyd in 07, but not in his peak. Not the guy that fought Fernando Vargas. Not the same hand speed, not the same bounce in his legs. And he still won 4 rounds against Floyd. Jose Luis Castillo won 4 rounds against Floyd in their rematch. Won 5 or 6 rounds, maybe 7 on some people's cards in their first fight. Marcos Maidana Miguel Cotto won 3 or 4 tough rounds against Floyd. Maidana won some rounds in that first fight against Floyd. Floyd is not a god. He's not invincible. He's 50-0. He has his claim to TBE. He's pound for pound one of the greatest fighters that ever lived. But, Sugar Ray Robinson's the greatest fighter that ever lived. But put him in against a naturally bigger man like Joey Maxim, who could fight at a certain level, and he couldn't get past him. Joey Maxim isn't in the top 200 fighters of all time. Sugar Ray Robinson's probably the best. But even the best fighters, against bigger guys and certain styles, anybody can be beat. Anybody could be beat. Ken Norton's not a top 10 heavyweight. A lot of people think he beat the greatest heavyweight of all time 2 out of 3. So, it's not knocking Money May when we say this guy or that guy might have beat him. It's just keeping it. It's just as Floyd would say, a great saying. Floyd, it's calling a spade a spade. So, yeah, Freitas. Yeah, it was Rafael. It was Popo Acelino Freitas. Good puncher. Couldn't take it as good as he could dish it out. Not saying he wasn't tough, but couldn't take it as good as he could dish it out. And I thought Zahir Rahim might have beat him on HBO, but They kept blaming Raheem for that fight being ugly. I remember they were both clinching a lot, and I actually thought Zahir Raheem got the better of that fight against Popo Freitas on After Dark way back when. But yeah, Freitas was a star. He could sell tickets. I remember when I would go to the doctor and my doctor was Brazilian. He goes, "You cover boxing?" I go, "Yeah." He goes, "Did you know who Popo Freitas was?" I was like, "Yeah, of course." And I go back to him. "You know who Falcao is?" And he actually did. He actually did know who the gold medalist Falcao was. So, Zach Randolph saying Floyd hype said De La Hoya was retired when he fought Floyd. De La Hoya would have demolished Floyd in his prime. I don't think De La Hoya would have demolished Floyd in his prime, but I think he could have won a decision, out-hustling him. Not necessarily landing all those flashy combinations Oscar was known for in his prime, but he would get the crowd's attention. And it was, I think De La Hoya, okay, so since we're going super hypothetical with it, I think the De La Hoya that fought Vargas in 2002 probably could have won a decision against Floyd, a split decision, a close decision against Floyd. The Floyd that jumped up to 54 in 2007. Because Floyd wasn't really a 154 pounder when he fought Oscar. He was small for that weight, light in the ass. But I think the Floyd that fought Canelo 6 years later when he really grew into 154, I think he beats Oscar, even at Oscar's best against Vargas. So, that's how I keep it. That's how I look at it. I think Oscar, the Oscar that fought Fernando Vargas and Javier Castillejo, he would have beaten Floyd, the 2007 Floyd. But I think Floyd, once he really became a super welterweight, a junior middleweight, I think the Floyd that fought Canelo would have beaten the Oscar that fought Vargas. All hypothetical. I know Floyd isn't Vargas. I know he ain't Vargas, but Oscar was a bad boy back in those days. He had his feet, he had his legs, he still had his punching power, that big left hook, he had hand speed, and he was with Floyd Sr., so he was, in that hypothetical, he's got Floyd Sr. in the corner too, don't forget that. So, yeah. Floyd was just better than De La Hoya. I agree with that, pound for pound. But a naturally bigger Floyd against a naturally bigger Oscar in his prime with his legs and his speed against a Floyd first coming up like he would have in 2007, I think Oscar could have got a decision in that scenario. Let's see here. So, all right, chat. Undisputed. Y'all really want me to get some Undisputed in, huh? All right, let's close with some Undisputed. Let's close with some Undisputed, chat. We put Canelo. We used Canelo's name for clickbait to get y'all to click because we didn't feel like J-Rock Adames and Berlanga Quigley would quite do it. Just to be fully transparent with you folks. And don't lie, because you guys are here. Because we did put Canelo and Spence in the title. And we did talk about Canelo and Spence. We lived up to the title. But since Canelo is the man in the title, I figure we could play some Undisputed with Canelo to finish. It's not easy to play Undisputed with Canelo because you're so much shorter and everyone's playing keep away. So you guys are going to have some patience because I'm going to have to give away some early rounds against these dudes playing keep away, throwing a bunch of punches. I'm going to have to take my time and break them down. But let's get it. We'll finish with some Undisputed. Coda Box says, I think you're tripping, Sean. What am I tripping about? Floyd timing and boxing IQ is undefeated. It is. It's literally undefeated. It's 50-0. J7, Sean, could you break down Munguia and Benavidez? It's very ugly for Munguia. He's an all-out offensive fighter running into another guy that has a great offense and actually has a better defense than him. Knows how to catch and shoot better than Munguia, has better reflexes than Munguia, has better hand speed than Munguia, is naturally bigger than Munguia, and probably punches harder than Munguia. Do the math. Be fun. Be a fun ass whooping. That's why Munguia should maybe just take the Berlanga fight. Is Miguel Cotto on Undisputed? No, not yet, sir. Salute, Blind Faith. Thank you, sir, for the salute. Why did Floyd take 5 to 7 years to fight Pacquiao? Was he scared? Nah. Pacquiao didn't want to take the drug test, and Ariza had him on some shit. And beyond that, Bob Arum and Al Heyman didn't really want to work together. And I guess they didn't plan it this way. But in the end, it almost feels like they planned it on both sides, Pacquiao and Floyd, to hold out. Because all their pay-per-view numbers, I think, would have been strong. But I think all their fights leading up to their fight got a boost with the carrot down the road, inevitably, of Manny and Floyd. More so on Pacquiao's side, too, because I think Floyd Canelo didn't need any carrot out in front of it like a Pacquiao. You know, that fight was going to sell great no matter what. But it almost felt like when it was all said and done, they planned it on purpose to maximize their earning value. Let's get as much checks as we can before we fight each other, because me and you fighting each other is the big top-off. Once we fight each other, these other pay-per-views, they might take a slight hit because people are buying these fights in a build-up to the ultimate fight at some point. So, but I just think it was. I think Pacquiao was dirty, and I also think that the two business sides didn't really want to work with each other anyway. So, let's see. AJ, thank you, brother. AJ for the super chat saying, Sean, pound for pound, #1 boxing journalist. We're working on it, man. We're working on it. That's why I'm going to be more consistent, AJ. Sean is scared to admit that Oscar beat Floyd. Even Mayweather Sr. admitted Oscar won the fight. Come on, Sean, admit it. Oscar was the ring general the whole fight. Look, things were going fairly well for Oscar through 8 rounds. And then right after he had his best round of the fight where he used his jab and was jabbing Floyd's chest, and Floyd, for one of the few times in his career, had a smile on his face of real concern a little bit. It wasn't that smile of you ain't shit. It was a smile of almost, oh shit, you've actually cracked something here. You've figured something out. But then Oscar, the jab, it just wasn't the night of the jab. Floyd with those counter right hands over the top, he'll take away that jab to his credit. But Oscar, after that round, got away from the jab. That fight was just about even through 8 rounds, and then Oscar does what he often does. He faded in the championship rounds, and that let Floyd take the fight home. He took it home. So, and again, I'm not the FightHype. I'm just a guy. You know, I'm Sean, but you know. So I definitely don't speak for the company on these Floyd-related opinions on him, and because I know my man BT would shut all that shit down. He wouldn't want to hear about weight and prime and this year and that year. He would say like Floyd, we don't do hypotheticals. It happened in real life, and he won every time, and I understand that. But you know, I see things a little differently sometimes, obviously. So now let's just wait and see if I get a fight with Canelo. Someone said, said Floyd versus Berto, 400,000 buys versus 4 million. Laughing my ass off. That's exactly what I was getting at. See, I think Berto, before Pacquiao, does like 1 million or close to it. Does under a million, but might have done double that. But people were like, we saw the Pacquiao fight. We're done. Like, we're done. We're not going to, so that was kind of my point. And then Pac-Man Thurman's like 400,000. You know, Pac-Man was doing 1 million or a little below it before the Mayweather fight. So that's exactly was my point. Mark Zuckerberg versus Elon Musk book. I don't really like bitch-ass billionaires that much. Not because they're billionaires necessarily, but I maybe like Elon Musk a little bit more than Mark Zuckerberg. He seems a little less New World Order Illuminati, but they both are. And I gotta watch saying those words on these lives. YouTube might have an algorithm that picks up on it, and they stop. They fuck over FightHype because of that. But Mark Zuckerberg's the one who's been training lately. He's a little younger. So Zuckerberg's probably the favorite in that fight. He's actually been training, and he's younger. But, yeah. I root for humanity to win. Sean, I've watched Keyshawn versus Cruz in the Olympics 10 times. I feel Keyshawn won, in my opinion. What did you see? Am I way off? Blind Faith, I think Keyshawn let that fight get away from him. He hurt Cruz in the second round of their gold medal match with a right hand, but he didn't press him enough. And then Cruz, if you press him, he's tough. He's slippery. He's fast.
This is the Lighthouse Theater. I'm Todd Grisham.
All right, we got a fight with Carl Froch. Did you guys know, I don't know if anyone's ever said this before, but did you guys know that Carl Froch fought in front of 80,000 people at Wembley? Here we go.
This bout
Here
is
we go.
scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing. Fighting out of the red corner from Guadalajara.
Why don't they promote Fulton in a new way? Because Japan, they're good. They're good. Everybody in Japan's going to be watching that fight. They don't give a fuck about us over here in America when it comes to that fight. Their money's already straight in Japan with the promotion. But Top Rank should promote it more. I mean, they do promote Inoue, and Inoue is maybe the best fighter in the world. You should promote it. But even if they don't, the money's already made in Japan. They're good. All right, let's take our time with Canelo, folks. I can't walk into shots here. Gotta cut distance and catch on my way in. Catching me with some shots, walking in, no big deal. Boom, left hook on the inside. Let's go.
Back to life now. Starting to land.
That's all right, chat. We're gonna let him touch us a little bit. You gotta get inside. To the body. Our first big body shot of the night.
This theater has seen a lot of drama over the years, but perhaps none more compelling than this.
2 body shots. Let's go. Slipping under his shots. Uh-oh. Let's not get wet. Let's get in there without getting wet.
You cannot get these tickets. So if you are in the
Boom. Oh, almost caught. Oh, he got me back. He got me back. Countered my counter. Kiss that body a little bit. Stole that from an MMA guy over the weekend. I had never. You know, it's my son's birthday. Had an MMA guy watching some boxing fights. He said, "Yeah, kissing that body." I was like, never heard that shit in boxing before, but didn't stop me from stealing it.
And he misses with that jab.
Look at me, just taking my time with Canelo, taking my time. Woo! Oh, and we just, you know, he's staying on the outside right now, but we're gonna get him to slow down and stay in front of us as the fight goes on with those body shots. To the body again. We're rolling underneath the shots.
He's stronger, but he's not faster. This round could go either way. 10 seconds to go.
Close round, but I like the work we did. Touched his body. Look at Carl Froch. You don't want to stay in there with Canelo. The SOG doc I heard was really good. War Rudy. I have to watch it. I've had so much to do with family stuff and work that, I mean, I was going to watch the Book of Ward the night it debuted. If Andre Ward's watching, he's probably like, fucking Sean lied to me. He said he was going to watch it on debut night. I'm sorry, Andre. But I will be watching the Book of Ward. I'll talk about it on here after I see it. My wife, Samantha, says, "Why are you so good at every video game you play?" Sweetie, you know why. I started at 5 years old in Brooklyn, New York with Sonic 2 on Sega Genesis. And it was love at first sight. It was a magical moment. I knew at that first moment, you know the moment I knew I was a gamer for life? It wasn't even Emerald Hill Zone. It was the chemical plant, level 2. And you start off going down the blue half pipe with Sonic. And I knew at that moment, this is fucking awesome. And my cousin from Brooklyn, she goes, "Yo, he's mad good. Look at him. He's already on the second level." And I knew at that moment, your boy Sean was a gamer for life. All right, let's get busy. Thank you, Wifey, for being in the chat. Everyone in the chat, say what's up to Samantha. Oh, to the body after slipping a little something. Oh, wait. Oh, slip. Boom, underneath again. You can't touch me on the outside, Froch. I got that Canelo head movement. Got that Canelo head movement, right? Oh, there it is. Oh, to the body. There it is. Oh, okay, you touched me that time, but I roll the shots. When he touches me, chat, it's nothing serious. Oh, look at that counter punching on the front foot by Canelito. By El Rey de Boxeo. By El Cabrón de Guadalajara. By El Mero Mero. My El Jefe. What else, chat? What else can we call him? Oh, see, he's standing still now. That's what we want. Once they stand still, it's a wrap. Go ahead, shoot something. Okay, stay in front. You get your body hurt, boy. Come on, hold on. Stay in front. You get the body hurt. I'm telling you. Yeah. Move. Get out of the kitchen. Yeah, yeah. All right, I'll stop. I'm sorry. Carl Froch, my man fought in front of 80,000. He's humble. He never has talked about it before. I like Carl Froch. I just like him. Man's man. Yeah, he lost to Andre Ward. But he's a cool dude. The man did the Ninja Challenge back home in Britain. You know? I don't take pride in doing them like this.
Pretty dominant round there.
All right. Let me say what's up to the chat again.
Dominance, without a doubt, make look so easy.
Thanks for saying what's up to Sammy, guys. Did he quit? Oh, Nomashanko strikes again, chat. Nomashanko strikes again. Nomashanko strikes again.
Knew exactly what he was doing. So you know what? Great shout.
That we can't count on that. We need someone to hit the canvas. We're not happy with a rage quit. Let's look at the post-fight numbers. Hold on. 18-4 encounters. He threw 142 punches, but landed 13 less than me, who threw 40 less shots at him. So I was just giving him the business, chat. We'll take that. Nomashanko strikes again. To the winner's camp. Hold on. We're not leaving on that. And all this talk of video games, you know, we got the Dreamcast sweater on. These boxing lives really devolve into video games and other stuff as we continue. It's okay though. There's only about 130 of us hanging out, so it's an intimate group today. Yes, he did quit on the stool. Someone's Street Fighter 2 was your moment on Super Nintendo. You knew you were a fighting lifer. Yeah, I think. Chat, what was your moment you knew you were a gamer? If you are a gamer, we probably got some grown folks in here who don't play video games and are like, what the fuck am I watching on FightHype right now? But what's up, GDDD? Jacob Skillhavy said, do you think Shakur's skills, distance control are good enough for Tank? It's tough because Tank is very skilled himself. Look, the people who are picking Tank, fighters and trainers, the one thing they keep telling me why Tank would beat Shakur and Devin, Jeff Mayweather told me this, is that he brings to the table what they bring to the table in terms of he's skilled, he's fast, he's athletic, he's smart, he can box. He has timing, all that stuff. But unlike, he has something they don't, which is that beautiful knockout power that he's blessed with. And guys like Jeff Mayweather will tell you that's why he thinks Tank is a little bit better than Shakur and Devin, because even if they are better boxers than him, they're not better boxers to the degree of which he's a better puncher than they are. Meaning, you know, if they're 9 or 10 out of 10 boxers and Tank's at 8 out of 10, he's much closer to they are in boxing skill than they are to him in punching power. So overall, he's more complete and dangerous than they are. Now, at the same time, I talk to people like Derek Harmon from Top Rank, and he tells me Tank waits too much to beat those guys. Those guys are too active, they throw too many punches, and are too smart. They're smart and they're fast like him. The same point that Jeff makes, except he thinks the difference between Devin and Shakur and Tank is their activity. They don't wait. He said that, oh my God, guys, this isn't fair. This guy is 227 and 54. And he's using Sugar Ray Robinson. He's got a much better length and reach on me. This is a ridiculously tough fight, chat. Chat, if I lose this one, you can't. We're coming to win, but you guys can't hold it back. You know, can't. Let's be a little realistic here on your boy.
Canelo Alvarez, the Mexican.
But anyway, me personally, they got to fight. I probably give a slight edge to Tank right now because he's 28 and Shakur's 25 or 26 years old. Just had his birthday. I think Tank's more in his prime than Shakur is. Shakur's entering his real prime right now. So if they fought right now, I give an edge to Tank. But I think Tank's more in his prime than Shakur is. Guys, this is gonna be hard as fuck. All right, here we go. All right, I gotta like let him give up his height, because if I just try to go forward and cut range, I'm just gonna run into shots. Trust me. So I gotta be real patient and real defense, like have good defense on the front foot, and let him give up his height a little bit, like that. His connection's a little wonky. All right, we're good.
Neither one of these fighters want to see the judges' scorecard.
See, he's just gonna try and keep it long. I gotta let him waste some shots. Be smart with my. I gotta be real accurate, like Canelo. I'm not gonna outwork him punch for punch, so I gotta be real accurate. This shit is glitchy.
You're feeling everything tonight. You know what? When you're in a theater, you know you've got to perform. There's no cutting corners. There's no making excuses, because you're going to be so transparent. They laid out there.
Got him.
Left hand there.
I gotta let him give up his height. If I just walk in, he'll run me into shots.
He just misses with that jab.
Damn, his connection is terrible.
Step back for just a moment.
Ah, see? I reach. You can't. It's kind of like real boxing. Like, you can't reach and you can't just walk in. You got to cut the ring. Sometimes let them give up their height.
Through the hook, didn't land.
Oh, they didn't give me that. Wow, this connection, though. This connection's bad. We might disconnect. Counter, catch and shoot on him. Nah, Charles, and he's not gonna drop me. This dude wants to play keep away. They know they can't stay in punching range with me. They know that. They know that. If Tank fights faster, Haney and Shakur's chances decrease. Like, yeah, I remember the only guy who sped Tank up, and I liked it. I liked Tank fighting at a better pace with Santa Cruz, but you know, Santa Cruz so much easier to hit than Haney and Stevenson. Tank will have to be the one, maybe, you know, creating more, because Tank lately has been walking guys into shots like Rolly and Ryan. He'll have to create more. Jabs to the body, says Blind Faith. Yeah, I'll use the jab a little bit when he comes in. Tiafimo and Tank, Jacobs, still heavy. That'd be a great fight. I don't count. I think Tio's an underdog, but he might win that fight at 140. Both have power. Both know how to box. I agree. I talked about that.
Who's going to land the first big shot? Safe to say that
I don't think we see that fight though anytime soon. So.
See if we can turn it around here.
A tough last round. Now you've got to make sure he doesn't put out.
All right. That's a horrible start to the round, chat. Hold up.
Hold him, lean on him. Don't get drawn into a fight. Not yet. Not to the senses of comeback.
It's all right. We're picking our shots in there, and he's wasting a lot of energy on non-effective punching, so it's all right. Hold up. There we go. We want to freeze him more. His connection is so weird, though.
Keep an eye on this slugger. As you know, he's willing to take 3 to give 1. That's
his connection. This is kind of hard to play.
So far.
We're gonna get him though, chat. We're gonna get him. He can't really fight. He's doing weird nonsense. We'll get him. We're touching him this round a little bit. No. Just take one. See? Gotta be extra patient. Oh, come on, man. That connection.
Nice counter. Nice counter punch. Gotta let your hands go a little bit. It's okay to be aggressive now. Beautiful counter shot.
There we go. Oh, come on. That's that glitchy bullshit that he's doing.
But he's not faster.
There we go. Okay, this dude is glitching out.
Counter punching. When are we going to see a jab from these two? Despite what the judges' scorecards read, there are no...
Oh, that uppercut counter was good. He probably won the round, but we're getting him with the better punches. He's just doing his little step in and out bullshit. What's up, T Street? T Street, it's good. It's a good game. Like counter punching and exchanges feels way more realistic than Fight Night. Right now, you came in at the worst time because I'm fighting a spammer with a horrible internet connection. But T Street, I got some shit I edited like with Terrence Crawford's counter punching in this game that is sexy. Like whenever FightHype, whenever we drop it, whenever it like hits the channel, because it's already edited and everything, just waiting to be dropped, you'll see this game at its best. You might not really see it here against this dude because his connection's terrible, but shout out to my man T Street Controversies. The game is still kind of wonky with certain animations, a little stiff here and there. Still feels like a beta, but there's things in this game that feel way better than Fight Night, like exchanges, counter punching. Certain things feel a lot more like a boxing sim than just arcadey like Fight Night. So, and then some of the animations are good. Some of these Canelo animations on that Canelo uppercut is very lifelike. But yeah, they still got some shit to work on, but I like it. Now let's whip his ass, chat. Shout out to my man Chris Venegas and to his pops too, TV Boxeo, to both Chris's. Much love, Chris. Yeah, try to pick it up again. Oh, that's it! One punch knockout, or is he only down? Look at that straight right hand counter. I had to do it with T Street in the chat. You see the straight right hand counter, chat? See, I'm touching him with the better punches while he's just shooting off all this little bullshit. I'm picking my shots, and we get the knockdown. We needed that. All right. Oh, counter uppercut off the catch and shoot, T Street. You see it? Oh, you caught my catch and shoot that time. Catching those body shots on the elbows. You guys see it. Don't stay in there with me, sugar. That's not your fight. You're the boxer puncher. Okay, I took a step out. Can't go punch for punch. Let me pick his speed. You got that speed. I gotta pick shots.
Always gives us a class. If you've got two class middleweight fighters,
ooh, okay.
I'm quite sure right now, if you know your boxing, there's certain fighters.
Boom! Look at that counter uppercut. Catch and shoot.
Marvelous, but some fighters were unbelievable.
As we enter the final 10 seconds here.
Catch and shoot with the jab, baby. Catch and shoot with the right hand. Catching those body shots on the elbow. He doesn't like it. Let's go.
He's been knocked down, but at least not knocked out yet.
Being put down.
Come on, Chad. Let me hear it for that straight right hand knockdown. They probably got it even. No, they got me up 2 points. Good. There we go. Judges not just giving credit to activity, but for the cleaner quality shots. Let's go. Alright, maybe smart in those exchanges. What's going on in my stamina? Alright. This dude trying to glitch us out, chat. He's not used to taking these L's.
Couldn't finish him off in the
see, chat, they don't want to fight.
This has in store for us.
We're not going to get reckless. Not take that bait. I'm not taking that bait, chat. I'm not walking into it.
You're a power puncher. You're not as concerned with how many punches you
pick our shots like that.
How many you land and how hard they are.
It's the one who draws first blood, Todd. That's what you've got to look at. If you're there and you know you're in there with a banger, you've got to be on it, but you've got to be confident.
This has been a very competitive round.
Look, chat, he doesn't want to fight anymore. After that knockdown, touch him to the body. Come on, stay on him. 2 to the body. Yep. Don't reach. Don't reach.
I don't think it's going to be a boxing match. This is going to be a fight.
Oh, come on. How you give him that counter? Like, that counter was so late. There we go. We got the uppercut in there.
He wanted action, and they are delivering.
Stay on him. Nope. Yep. There it is. See? Patient. Can't reach. Oh, come on. That hook. I had that. We got that round, chat.
Well, we're entering desperation.
Throw your check left hook after going under with the counter right. I got you, Blind Faith. You saw me right there almost get him with it on his way out, but I was just a little off. Let's go.
Things are starting to heat up now as we enter the fifth. Safe to say that last round.
Once we get him to really get in there and fight with us, we got him. We'll eat him up. Gotta take our time.
Be smart, be sharp, don't be a fool, don't get sucked in. Make you fight, your fight.
Stepped over to his right, so I threw that right hand to the body twice. Like leading a receiver.
If you get me going, he's gonna pop you off.
There we go.
This fighter's certainly not gonna outthrow their opponent by any means, but they will when
nope.
they hit, be a lot harder.
Nope, 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 get out of there. Ah, okay, hold on. Catch. Yep, nope. Let me get my stamina back. Yep. Yep. Back on you. Back on you. Come on, man. We got 150 people watching. Let's give them a show, Sugar Ray. Trying to show them what this game is all about. Nah, see, we don't reach with those. There we go. No reaching.
We've reached the halfway point. Why aren't they keeping their gloves up?
He doesn't want to fight, chat. It's all right. We're not reaching.
Percentages have to be off the charts.
Look, chat. Look at this man. It's disgraceful. Sugar Ray would never. Let me not reach.
Despite what the judges' scorecards read, there are no losers in this one.
This is what you got to deal with these so-called high-level players on Undisputed. They're just bitches. They're just bitches.
Last round, it's pretty obvious who has the advantage here.
I seriously hope the judges kept their eye on this.
Here we go in the 6th round. Coming off that fantastic last round. Let's see if he can keep his momentum going.
Good hook. Got him. Alright, I'm trying not to get frustrated, chat. I'm sorry that this man is fighting this way and trying to glitch his way to wins. Look at this shit. Look at this shit.
This is about want.
Look at this shit, chat. Alright.
You've seen all the famous boxing moves.
We're not giving him the satisfaction.
It's the gym work. That's what it all boils down to. Who's going to have more endurance?
He's just trying to steal these rounds, man. Make me walk into a couple of little bullshit shots and then run away. Nope. 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 No, I'm good. I'm good. I'll take those.
These fighters have had their moments.
Yep.
Obviously the great equalizer in boxing, but when you
okay, no, don't reach. See, he slips in those little bullshit shots trying to steal around.
Don't be courageous when you're getting in there with someone that's bigger, stronger, and faster. You've just got to use brain.
Body. Go to his body. Oh, he's doing all that fainting bullshit.
Both men step back for just a moment.
Boom! Let's go. 2-piece.
You can tell he's stronger, but he's not faster.
Look at this shit, chat. Disgraceful. Boo this man. We got that round. We got that round. Even with all... No. You come. Yeah. We got that.
I promise you, all three judges here are going to give that round to you-know-who.
You can't leave it up to the judges. It's up to you as a fighter.
AJ, even trying to clip him when you're taunting, you could punch out of your taunt, like, immediately. So he's even just doing that to try to bait me into walking into some little bullshit straight right hand or jab. But, see, they even gave him that round, chat. That's what's so difficult. Like, how did they give him that round? They would never give him that round in real life. They'd disqualify this motherfucker fight like this. I don't even know what I want to do, because all he wants to do is walk me into a couple, like, and then just run away. Ugh. So I gotta, like, you guys see what it is. I gotta let him give up his height, chat.
He'll hit you 1,000 times before you can land one.
We can't come in. We gotta wait till he gets bored and jumps in with punches, catch and shoot on him. We got the round one, so I'm good. This is officially the worst fight we've ever had on FightHype Live. But let's win it. The least we could do is win this fight, for as terrible as it is. Oh, we got him again. Straight right hand, chat. Beautiful. Karma. Karma. Karma, chat. Angry Casual fan said he schooled me that round. Well, Angry Casual fan, would you say he schooled me this round?
At some point, the corner may have to intervene here because this fighter won't stay down.
Bam.
Defense is not
Good Lord, man.
these two.
Let me chat. Or let me taunt. Whee!
As we enter the final 10 seconds here, it's probably a round you'd rather forget.
This dude's a bum. Him and his glossy record. He's a fucking bum.
Knockdown we just witnessed.
He's a bum.
Take a deep breath for a while. Push it up. Get on with the job.
Thank you, Malcolm Emmanuel. I lost one fight. I'm like, on the FightHype Live, I gotta be like 35-1. And the 1L, I was Josh Taylor fighting Sugar Ray Robinson with a dude just like this. And all I did was just keep coming forward, trying to break him down. And I've kept running into so many guys that play like this that I'm just learning to be patient and eventually let them jump in with their stupid ass punches and catch and shoot on them. It's tough. You're gonna give away some rounds fighting like that. It's frustrating, but it's really the only way. Because if you just try to go after them and break them down, you just walk into shots and they get away. You know, so let's do it. We're not out of the woods yet. We still got 5 more rounds and we're only up 3 points. So I can't let this get away from us. There we go. That's a nice start. I'll take that. Oh, is he ready to get slapped? Good.
Because you know they want to shake your leg direct and not it away from getting stopped.
Bang! That's the shot I keep dropping him on.
How much confidence do you build when your opponents hit you with their best shot and you walk right through it?
Don't get trigger happy, because all of a sudden you're going to be gassing yourself out trying to get that shot.
We got this round, chat. We're doing good. They got Canelo's stance pretty nice. Some of Canelo's movements are good.
Just a moment.
Bullshit ass.
Back and forth they go in this round. The momentum continues to shift. And this is where that jabs. When are we going to see a jab from these two?
little bullshit shots that I'm really rolling and catching for the most part, but sometimes the judges, they give it to him for that. Don't reach, Canelo. Damn it. We let this round get away? Maybe not. Hopefully not. All right, chat.
He is down big time on the scores.
Needs a knockout without a doubt. Needs to go out there and think, right, you know what?
Yeah, War Rudy, he's terrible. I hate this guy. But the game is not complete garbage. This dude and his internet connection and his little tactics are garbage.
Last round was a nightmare. Let's see if we can turn it around here.
And if the game, you know, and I'm finding a way to win, even against his bullshit with boxing IQ.
You've got to be ready for that. Don't fight fire with fire. Hold him up. Be smart.
What the?
He's gonna try and put you under pressure.
This dude's a cheater.
He knows his head's not cleared.
And he's gonna take his L, despite it. Damn it! I didn't even do the step back. I wanted to hook. There it is. Let's start countering with the big shots now.
Each other out, test each other's power.
Give me that.
I think this boxer has decided I can walk through anything.
Give me that. Yep.
What a gift. What a gift it is to have a chin where you know you can walk through anything and everything. When you let those shots go and it's just bouncing up and they're walking you
Coming
down.
after him with the big shots now.
Absolutely great shot. What else can you do?
Those who thought this would be a mismatch, you are sorely wrong.
Eat that.
No stamina,
Eat that.
no injury, but still throwing punches.
This cat.
Why aren't they defending? Neither fighter willing to sit
Gotcha.
down these punches. They're
Gotcha.
arm punches. They're scoring, but they're not going to hurt anybody.
You don't know how to fight. Fights like an amateur. Throws his little punches and then gets out. That's amateur shit. This is pro game right here. Stay in the pocket. Catch and shoot by an inch. We got that round, chat. We got that.
Well, there was no doubt about who won that round.
I seriously hope the judges kept their eye on this fight because if they haven't, there's going to be...
There's the bell to start round.
All right, we're up 3 points with
Last round. Let's see
3 rounds left to go. Let's not give this fight away, chat. Let's make this dude suffer for his bullshit. Gotta let him jump in, give up his height, counter. Kind of like Benavidez did to Plant down the stretch of their fight. Started to, instead of reaching and walking into shots, he started to kind of hold his ground and let Plant jump in with shots and catch and shoot on him.
Gotta let your hands go a little bit. It's okay to be aggressive now.
What a bitch, chat.
Punch output. Thought there would be some more action here. It's been a back and forth contest so far, no doubt about it.
I don't know what happened there.
And this with that jab.
Nope, we don't want that. There we go. Look, we need that big step over. We need that. I just want to shift now.
You're not as concerned with how many punches you throw. It's about how many you land and how hard they are.
Power. That power might be the do or die. That power might be the equalizer.
Chat. This is not fun to play against.
Seen in the past from this fighter, they don't get concerned.
We gotta send this video to the developers and be like, did you know dudes are winning fights doing this on your game? Did you know that? Like, you gotta see this bullshit. He might have got that round.
They got the advantage. How do they carry that into the next round?
Dominance, without a doubt, make it look so easy.
as we enter the championship round. And there's no doubt about who won that last round. Let's see what he has for us here in the next one. He fails to score with that left hook. This is not good strategy. Those punches are doing nothing. Talk about punches and bunches. That's the mantra for this fighter with that exceptional hand speed.
We got to get this round.
I've never seen a fight so fast in my life. How do you deal with this? You gotta hope they run out of steam.
I'm taking some more shots than I want to, but I want to win this. I really want to win this round. So,
Shot with the left.
give me that counter. Give me this counter.
Nice exchange here from both men.
Got him.
How nervous would you get when you know you're facing a big puncher like this guy that can...
Someone can take you out with a simple jab. It can be intimidating.
Got him.
It depends on how confident you are as a fighter.
A very competitive round with 10 seconds left.
Close round. Close round, chat. How do we approach this last round, man? He's sucking you into his game. He needs a round as much as you. Pull him in. I got you, AJ. I know to pull him in. It's just tough when you got 100 people watching. You don't want to just stand there. I'm trying to make the fight a little bit, but... yeah, this shit is terrible, this fight. Alright. I'm gonna have to let him jump in a little bit. But when he's jumping in, he's doing just enough to get in there and get out, too. So it's...
not broken, why change it? An excellent last round, everything works. Wait for the reaction. Until then, keep doing what you've just been doing because you've won that hands down.
What happened to my stamina there? Why did it drain so quick? There we go. There we go. Beautiful. Hitting him with that power jab in close a little bit. Oh, what happened to my stamina? What the fuck?
To block that jab.
Come on, game. There we go.
Neither one of these fighters want to see the
That power jab is giving me some success when he jumps in. Yes.
At the halfway point, and both of these fighters know the round is still up for grabs.
We're letting it all hang out, baby. Fuck stamina. Oh, my stamina. Why is it draining so quickly this round? What is going on? It's okay. We're letting it all hang out. We don't need it. Yes, that power jab.
No doubt
what's going on? What's going on?
Change the fight around in an instant.
We got this round, I think.
To make one single minor mistake.
Finally he did it to us.
Blocks the jab. This round could go either way. 10 seconds to go.
Let's dance on him. Let's dance on him. We got that.
You don't see it very often.
A draw. Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here, Chad.
What about? I'm exhausted watching it myself. And you know what? It's a draw because
we'll take that as a win, man. 2 knockdowns and a draw against that kind of playing style. We'll take it as a win. We dropped him twice. One judge had me win it. How did they give him the last round, man? Like, he got... See what I mean? The games... Did you guys see him landing all those punches that last round? Ugh, whatever. I out-countered him 38-14. He threw 222 more punches. I blocked 219-82. I countered 38-14. I dropped him twice. He landed a bunch of little bullshit, non-effective punches that did enough to get him a little bullshit draw. Fuck this guy and his 227-54 record. I'm the champ. We take that as a dub here on Fight Hype to the winners camp. Fuck him. Never again do I ever want to play him again. Oh, that was terrible, chat. That was terrible. I need to go cleanse myself of that experience now. Chat, if there's anything you guys want to touch on before I get out of here, let me know. Otherwise, it's been a fun Monday morning. Now Canelo sees what it's like to be robbed. Wilder Fury all over again. A little bit. Yeah, the first fight, lots of taunting, and he didn't really land anything that effective for the most part, and I dropped him twice, but he gets a draw. So, God, that guy was terrible, chat. I'm tempted to close with another fight, but I'm afraid I'm going to run into somebody like that again. So, my lord. All right, chat. I think that's about it. We covered a lot of boxing. Virgil Stanionis. I give the edge to Virgil. He's got a better jab than Stanionis. I think he hits a little harder than Stanionis as well, and he's a little bigger than Stanionis. So it's a head-on collision between, you know, two strong welterweights, but I think one guy's a little bit bigger. Let me look at the. Instead of going off top, let me check the tail of the tape. Let me see here. Hold up. Let me get back to life, back to reality. One moment here. All right. Let me see. I believe Virgil's a little bigger than Stanionis. And I think he has a better jab, and I think he does punch a little harder, a little bit better of a combination puncher. Stanionis is good. He's a very good, strong welterweight. Yeah. Stanionis, 78-inch reach to the 70-inch reach. 5'10" by Virgil Ortiz, 5'8" Stanionis. Virgil, both guys in their primes. Virgil's is entering his prime. Stanionis in his prime at 28. 19 knockouts and 19 wins for Virgil versus 9 knockouts and 14 wins for Stanionis. So what I'm saying holds up on paper. I see Virgil as a little bit better puncher, and his record says that. And I also see him as a little bit the bigger man, and the tail of the tape shows that. And with that reach and height, I also think he has a better jab. He has a great power double jab, does Virgil. And I think that jab can dictate in between the exchanges that it should be very violent and fun to watch. But I think Virgil a little bigger, punches a little harder, and has the better jab, which, you know, sometimes is the most important punch in boxing. So give the edge to Virgil Ortiz to win that fight. And you know, I think on that we'll let me see. Opinion on Bivol and Beterbiev. I think Bivol wins that fight. I think he has a better jab than Beterbiev. I think he has better footwork than Beterbiev, even though Beterbiev showed me against Joe Smith that he really can box really well himself and has some underrated athleticism and footwork. He walked Joe Smith into that fight, destroyed him in 3 rounds, looked great. But I still favor Bivol because I think he has a better jab than Beterbiev, and I think he's the rare fighter that could hold up to Beterbiev's punch enough to win a fight. You take that from the Joe Smith fight when he got hit and hurt with that overhand right late in their fight, went back to his corner very hurt, but survived it, got through it, and took Canelo's best. And even though Canelo's a small guy at these weights, he scored knockouts against champions at these weights. And he held up just fine to Canelo's power, held up fine to Joe Smith's power. He has that linebacker neck, does Dimitri Bivol. And I think he has the shock absorber to hold up enough to Beterbiev's power and let his youth, superior jab, a little quicker on the draw, a little faster with the youth. And I think he could win a decision in a great fight, very violent fight between those two Russian champions, Beterbiev and Bivol. I'd favor Bivol. Coda Box, my bad, man. What's going on, Coda Box? Let me see. Lipinets and Matias. 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 Lipinets has seen better days, I would think, even though he looked good his last fight. But you know, Jaron Ennis and Mikey Garcia, a couple of guys that put him down, and Jaron Ennis really put a beating on him. I'm not as high on Matias as some people are. I think Rolly might be able to beat Matias actually, but and I don't think Matias would beat Prograis or Tiafimo, but I think Lipin Yates isn't the biggest guy at 140, even though he's gone up to 47. But I think Matias will win that fight. But it should be a very entertaining fight. And punch for punch, Lipin Yates is a little sharper than Matias, who throws a lot of arm punches. But Lipin Yates should be able to get off plenty of offense himself, because the defense of Matias is very leaky. He's all offense, but it should be a good, fun fight. But I think Matias, who's a little fresher of the two fighters, should win that fight. So maybe not though. So Jaron Ennis and Mikey Garcia are better than Matias. Matias is overrated, says the homie Ricky. The homie Ricky says Lipin Yates will upset Matias. I wouldn't be shocked. You know, Lipin Yates at his best is a little sharper punch for punch. Like Matias does that arm punching thing, just working his hands, uppercuts, hooks, and just doing his thing, but not really putting it, sitting down on any one shot. He's an accumulation knockout artist, is Matias. And Lipin Yates, he's explosive. He'll sit down and throw those shots with his lower half into it and be explosive at different times. But Matias is fresher than him these days. So not saying that Lipin Yates can't do it, or that I don't have respect for Lipin Yates, but I think Matias will win that fight. We'll see. If in fact it's actually happening. What's up, Joe Dirt? What's going on? Damn, man, I would play more Undisputed, but it's just, that was so disgusting what happened. Chat's thinning out. I think that's about it for that. You guys know I won that fight. I hope everyone enjoyed the Z-Cap. I will be doing these every single Monday now, even if there was no fights over the weekend. We got to make it consistent. Got to make this like the Skip and Shannon, even though it's just me here, not someone else. We got to make this the spot for the boxing reviews every Monday. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and have a great rest of the Monday. God bless. See you later.